We're going to talk about the Super Bowl ads, Snyder fans, and more as Andy Signore joins us this morning on Midnight's Edge in the Morning. Good morning. It's another new week. And we're kicking it off right with some Midnight's Edge in the Morning. Good evening, afternoon, morning, whatever it is, where you is. It's morning here where I'm at. So let's get things started. Hey, Andre, welcome to the show. How you doing, boss man?
Greetings. I'm good, thank you. How about yourself?
Doing the best I can, and actually doing pretty good. We got a great guest with us here, Mr. Andy Signore from Popcorn Planet. How you doing?
Happy to be here, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Glad to have you. And we also have along with us the voice of Midnight's Edge, of course, Rob. How you doing?
Hey, everybody. I'm taking time off from my bowling ball shopping to join the rest of us here. So.
I didn't know Rob bowled. Now that's a new one.
Well, my high game ever was 158. And I think that's because I kept score wrong. With the automatic scoring, that's just not possible anymore. So my average is going to plummet.
Eh, boy. I'm going to call you Twinkle Toes.
Like Fred Flintstone.
But yeah, we had a heck of a big game day yesterday. I didn't watch the Super Bowl. I haven't watched the Super Bowl in like 10 years. But I always catch ever since I've been able to just catch the commercials online. It's kind of pointless. I mean, how about you guys?
I have to say, as someone that is not from the US, that it's quite incredible that the only thing we ever hear about Super Bowl is the commercials. Like, to me, from the outside, it looks like that the Super Bowl commercials is a bigger deal than Super Bowl itself, unless of course Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake is performing, and then that might be a bigger deal. But other than that, the commercials are the real stars here.
You know what's funny though,
impression.
Rob, we may get our Austin Powers 4 idea because Mike Myers stole our joke from last year's Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah, did you see the Wayne's World ad?
I saw the Wayne's World. I didn't really pay attention.
Well, the thing before the game where they're like, they can't say the Super Bowl because remember that was our joke last year. You kept saying the big game, the immense bowl, the mega bowl, the best ever bowl. Like they did that exact joke. I'm like, they stole Rob's joke.
Oh boy, Mike Myers must be a fan, or Dana Carvey must be a fan. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if Mike Myers.
Yeah,
and
the whole joke was they were dancing around saying the Super Bowl because they couldn't. That was your joke last year, remember?
Yeah. And then,
but before we get into the Super Bowl and everything that went down there with trailers and the Super Bowl itself, I guess, and everything that's related to it. First, let's say greetings to everyone that's joining us in the chat. I said we have Odal Varado here. We had Lorena Creole. Greetings. We have your Muslim uncle. Retro Amateur is here. Cosmic Squirrel is here. Mr. Tickle Trunk already sent us a super sticker, so thank you so much for that. And Aluvrian Imarakara also says, Happy Monday. I have to give it to them. This new show has piqued my interest. And I wonder, who are you referring to? But
I'm assuming he means Falcon. Yeah. I was going to say Falcon and Winter Soldier, probably.
Yeah, and we shall, of course, get into that in great detail. Of course, we also have Thunderstorm, Anibal Morales is here, Neon Knight is here, and many, many others from all over the world. Stephen Otten is here and says for $5, hail at Midnight's Edge, and everyone in the chat. Indeed, hail one, hail all. And of course, Willie Woodward is here, which we also really appreciate.
Does anyone remember the alternative rock band, the Happy Mondays? Or is it just me? No? Okay, it's just me then. All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. On that note, Spider Unlimited says that for $9.99, thank you so much. Old looks like another M. Night Shyamalan gem. Yeah, we shall get into that. We shall get into that in due course. Don't you worry about that. And Willie Woodward also sent us $1. No comments, or just support, I guess, which of course we appreciate. We did not get to that one yet. The importer says for $5 Canadian, hey guys, Netflix tends to release their shows on DVD and Blu-ray, and Amazon tends not to. Do you think Disney will for their Disney Plus shows?
No.
Well, I want to hear what you guys think first.
I don't think so. What do you think, Andy? I don't think they will, at least not for a while.
I think their goal is to get subscribers. So why would they want to make even that revenue? Right now, they want to beat Netflix. I think a lot of Netflix was the other distributors trying to. Like Stranger Things is the only one I can think of where they really went to had one of their own, but they waited so late where everybody had seen it. So they thought, well, they know the numbers, right? They know how many people have seen it. So they think, all right, we've hit that. Now let's let all those people who've seen it buy it. I don't think Disney's there yet. They need to get way more subs before they can go to that place.
I think another thing with the Netflix thing is that Netflix generally license all their shows.
Yeah.
Disney actually owns the stuff they're putting on there. So yeah, like you said, it would make no sense for them to put it out on video, at least for a while. The whole point is to draw people to Disney Plus. What do you think, Rob?
I think they will do Marvel though. Sorry, but
maybe
at some point they'll probably do that, or Mandalorian as a disc set once everyone's seen it. You'd think, right?
I would have thought if they were going to, they would have done it before the second season, because that's usually the routine, is you drop the last season just before the new one to generate interest, but they didn't.
Yeah. Obviously, the whole idea, they want to keep people on Disney Plus. And so,
Disney's been pretty sporadic with their Blu-rays, very sporadic, like to the point where we've been hearing rumors for a while that they may not even release a lot of their classic movies anymore. Although we are getting very random titles on 4K, but just very few. Like I heard we're getting Speed, and I can't remember what the other one is on 4K.
Hey, I need my copy of A Spaceman in King Arthur's Court. Okay, jeez, come on, Disney, get on that.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. I've already looked at it. They've got a 4K version of Roger Rabbit on Disney Plus, and we still haven't got a Blu-ray of it. So. Go figure on that.
Tom, does that mean no Cat from Outer Space either?
We got the regular Blu-ray, but we didn't get a 4K Blu-ray.
I thought there was a Blu-ray, not 4K, correct?
Yeah, just regular Blu-ray.
Yeah. Also, I also don't think that they're actually going to do even a DVD Blu-ray set for The Mandalorian. Honestly, not for a long time.
I feel like my this version.
There you go.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, real.
That's by the way, the only way that I will ever be rewatching The Hobbit is a VHS release.
They actually have the animated Hobbit. That's because that's what you're talking about, right?
No, I'm talking about Peter Jackson's Hobbit.
Oh, why would you watch that on VHS?
Because I saw it in 48 frames per second, ultra high definition 3D, and it's the worst theatrical experience
the
of
Blu-ray,
my life.
They had to
and
take
the only way that I can ever rewatch it is if it's such shitty image that there ain't no way at all I can be reminded of that horrible experience of witnessing a stage play at the set in New Zealand for 2 hours.
Lucky for you, Andre, the Blu-ray fixed that. The Blu-ray is only at 24 frames. So.
Not good enough. I need to go down further.
I've never seen a movie in 48 frames a second. Okay. I deliberately missed The Hobbit in theaters. I'm like, I've seen Lord of the Rings. I'm not about to sit through another three hour each movie. So, okay. But it really, 48 frames a second really does look that bad.
Oh, that's worse than you can ever imagine.
I haven't seen it on the big screen, but I saw the 60 frame per second 3D test of Gemini Man, and it looks like you're watching a BBC show.
Oh,
it would be great for documentaries, for sports, and for porn. And other than that, you just need to
really
avoid
you want
that
porn to be that crystal. I don't know. Sometimes
skin
pores take me out.
I might bruise my.
Well, I was saying it's going to be for some people.
Too much information.
You bruise your penis on the screen. I mean, geez.
It's not like a mole or a wart or something, and it's a scar, and then I'm like transfixed on that.
We got $1 from Willie. Thank you so much, Willie Woodward, for that. And then Rod Thunderheart. You almost have to say his name like that because you can't
Thunderheart.
You just can't say Rod Thunderheart. No, it's Rod Thunderheart. There you go.
That should be your WWE wrestling name.
As a Canadian, I'm contractually obligated to appreciate the CFL and its 104-year Grey Cup history. NFL falls down below cross-country skiing appeal. Wow.
As a Norwegian, I resent that because cross-country skiing is the shit over here. But yeah, that's me.
Hey, that big girl, what was her name? Stina. That big girl that you sent me pictures of, who looks like She-Hulk. She's a cross-country skier. Andre?
Oh, that one. Yeah.
What kind of pictures are Andre sending?
How many big girls has he sent you? I mean, it took so long.
Actually, she's not tall at all. She's just really, really well, really fit.
Yeah, I mean, like that's kind of.
SDU, how would be the one?
Didn't know Rob and Andre had a fetish. There we go. Alex says.
But like he's talking about cross-country skiing. I'm like, of course, I got to bring that up. Like, that's kind of scary, though. That's, she wants snoo. If you Futurama fans, you'll recognize that reference.
Alex Sarah says chances of Pietro being real and them being revealed as mutants and Magneto's children, Craig as Eric and Colin Salmon as Charles. I can see it. We may get into that a little bit. That's getting into some very deep spoilers on
you tell me if you want me to get into that. We'll wait.
Yeah, you have the answer, so we'll get into that later.
We can save it if you want.
Yeah, we'll save that for later. We'll get back into that a little bit later.
We'll save that specific one for later, and then we'll get back to that. But thank you so much for now for that. And then Fezman says, what if the surprise cameo for WandaVision is the introduction of the X-Men? We'll also get into that later. The Mex-Men. Actually, he said the Mex-Men. That's a joke from Mead.
Okay, no, we're not going to get into that. That's for the next show.
Yeah, we can't get into that here, though. We'll get in trouble. Even though we got passes from our Latino friends on that one. Anyway, Mr. Tickle Trunk gave us a very generous $20 Canadian.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk, for the plug too. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it says off topic. I wanted to plug Andy's channel for the discussion of tough topics. People are respectful, take turns talking, and it feels like internet debates in the early days of YouTube. Even the chat is respectful and refreshing. Yeah, I joined Andy for a show once already, and it was very different, but it had a lot of
that's a good way to say
emotions. It had a lot of emotions.
I think we're all like, oh, I didn't realize this could get this stuff right away.
Luckily, I wasn't kind of in the crossfire per se.
Yeah, no, you managed
on the sideline, but.
But yeah, Vito and anyway, I won't get back into it.
But I had a few moments where I'm like, now wait a minute here.
we do that sometimes, especially on my Tuesday. Now I lean into that. Just we do real talk Tuesday nights where I pick a topic that no one wants to talk about. I've been avoiding like Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, and that whole issue. I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Enough is enough. I've been canceled already. It's not going to happen again. What can you do? You can't take more away from me. So I might as well use that as my badge of honor and just talk to everybody, hear everything out, and try and figure out, middle grounds or at least find something common, with people I don't necessarily agree with. I think it's more important that we do that. So thank you, Mr. Tickle Trunk. That's very nice of you.
Yeah, and I shared your link in the chat earlier, and I think Andre has it in the description.
It's already in the description, of course.
So there you go. If you want to check out the channel, there you go. That's the best way to get there. And like I said, you never know I may pop up there. You never know when one of us may pop up there. I've already been there once, and I'm open to coming back. For
those people who don't know, I have movie fights is what a lot of people remember me from back in the day, and I'm trying to bring it back, but I just need good guests. So you guys, anybody out there, send me good guests. I'm planning a March revival of Nerd Wars, where we'll try and get some more fun, hopefully, debate.
Well, I'm probably somebody to talk to. So
let me know. We'll get it going. But stay tuned, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we'll have some fun with that, and so check back for more on that. But yeah, I'm glad to have Andy here today because we're going to get into a subject later. I'm not going to say too much about it right now since we're earlier in the show, but I'm glad to have him here for that because he has a very interesting perspective on it. Stephen Otten says the only surprise was the trailer for the Old. I'm willing to give Shyamalan another chance. Yeah, I think that's probably a good spot to kick off. What do you think, Andre?
Yeah, let's begin with that because we have now had two super chats addressing Old. So let's begin with the trailers, and we'll do other commercials after that. And since Old is the one Ben you're talking about, more so than Falcon and Winter Soldier, so let's begin with Old. In the Superbot commercials, one of them was then, of course, Stephen King has nothing to do with it, but M. Night Shyamalan's Old, which I honestly hadn't heard about before. I saw the trailer, or like the Super Bowl spot rather, and it seems to have won many over here in the comments. So I'm curious, what do you guys think of it? Andy, let's begin with you. First of all, do you know anything about the movie to begin with? Do you have any insight, or do you just see it as a fan?
And I mean, I knew he was working on another one. I still haven't seen Servant yet either. That's the show he's been doing for a while. I've been like hot and cold, obviously. I think with a lot of people with M. Night Shyamalan. But I got to be honest, the trailer intrigued me. But I've been around the block with him. He's done this a lot where he gets me excited, and then I'm like, that was garbage. So I will say the trailer was interesting to me. I liked it was like, seemed like it could be a cool idea, but it also could just be a short gimmick stretched out to a movie and not be very good. So he didn't show too much, but he gave away, their aging on this island. It could just turn into Lost. Who knows? There's a lot of island stuff that go on. But yeah, I was pleasantly intrigued. I'll say that. But I don't have any much. I don't know much else about this movie.
Yeah, this first I heard about it, and I mean, I don't know if they're stuck in some kind of time loop or what the deal's going to be. Like Andy, I gave M. Night a lot of chances.
When did you like realize? Oh no!
Check out. The sign, or no, the happening was the moment I'm like, no, F you, this is enough of this shit.
Rewatched it though. It's so funny when you.
It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those so bad it's good movies, definitely, for like one of those Saturday nights, getting messed up with your buddies and with some pizza, definitely. But after that, I checked out for a while until Split, and then everybody's like, Split, you got to see Split, and it got spoiled for me ahead of time. But I'm like, no, I'm glad, because I was one of those who loved Unbreakable. I'm like, I want to see this trilogy, I want to see this play out, and it kind of disappointed me in the end, like a lot of people. The third film, it was okay. The ending, though, was a real letdown. Now, Rob, I don't think you've gotten into M. Night much. Have you even seen The Sixth Sense?
No, but I've heard all the jokes. Or, I see dead people.
Yeah, because Rob's not really into horror or thrillers or anything like that. So if it doesn't have karate and boobs in it, then
I've seen the argument. I've seen arguments like Sixth Sense isn't good if you already know the twist, which is an interesting debate, because it's like, is it a good movie then if you can't watch it knowing what the twist is? Because people loved it because of that twist, and I wonder if you watched it knowing what the twist is, what you'd think.
I agree that with those who think that with knowing the twist going in, it's not as good as of a film. Because I've seen it a few times, and it's not one of those movies I want to keep revisiting. Like Unbreakable, I watched like 3 or 4 times as many times. Like I kept going back to it.
The thing, Tom, that it's sad you didn't get to experience it, because I remember seeing that. I was still at the back in Hollywood at that phase. I was in that community then, but when we were in that theater, no one saw that coming. Like, and so that was a genuine, like, and it's hard to surprise the critics and the industry people, early. And I remember when they did that, and then when the music came on to the Unbreakable when it came in. Like, it was actually a really fun reaction in the theater, because everyone's like, what? And there was literally a guy like, oh my God. He was like losing his mind because it was happening. And I genuinely think I liked the movie more because he actually surprised me. And I think that's been the gimmick of Shyamalan for a while, because he surprises you. When he genuinely can surprise you, you leave with like he got me. But then it's like, do they hold up? Is the question.
Well, I think that's the interesting point you just brought up, Andy. And I think the answer to that, at least in my opinion, is that it's all about the twist with Shyamalan. And the best part about Unbreakable, and the reason why that one is kind of different from the others, is it's not reliant completely on the twist. Sixth Sense, reliant on the twist. Signs, you can kind of make an argument because like the twist is stupid. So the rest of the movie is what makes that film. The performances, the characters, there's a few
on the TV with the alien we cross.
Oh, that's my favorite bit. Yeah. Like, but once that, it just goes downhill from there. But like the lady in the water or whatever it was called, the what's the one where the village, like a lot of those, it's all about the twist. I mean, once you know the twist, then is it, again, you ask yourself, is it a movie you can sit there and watch for 2 hours and hold your interest?
The village, I kind of guess what it is without seeing it. They're in Central Park or something like that, right?
Well, it's kind of like an area that's shut off from the rest of the world, and you're led to believe like they're in the, whatever time period, and then you realize, oh no, it's the modern day kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole, that's like, boy, these what do you call those historic village cosplayers? They're really taking the role seriously. They're really invested in it. Jeez, like it's It's like I said, it's a Simpsons joke. It's a South Park joke. You know, I mean that it's he's become a joke, really. I mean, he's like a joke. The first thing, you know, when I watched this trailer for Old, I'm like, oh, okay, people like that's all from director M. Night Shyamalan. I literally said, oh, no, that's it. I'm out.
Yeah, and a lot of people, here's where Mike Cat says a lot of people he fell out during Lady in the Water was the one they're like, nope, that's enough of this shit. Like,
none of you have said his worst movie though.
Which one would that be?
It's Last Airbender, hands down.
Well, that's because I you know what? That to me is not like a M. Night Shyamalan movie. That was just
even more offensive. You're just like,
he was just doing it for the paycheck. I mean, it was just it was just a paycheck basically.
Was that better or worse than After Earth, which was also like a higher job for Will Smith when he was trying to make his son a star? Because I haven't seen either Avatar or After Earth.
After Earth genuinely like angered me at its stupidity. Avatar's work, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch the Avatar cartoon until recently. I watched it with my daughter, and I did love it. I got to be honest. I love it so much. I'm trucking through Korra now, just because she wants to, and it's got parts, but that's a whole nother debate. But I love the cartoon actually. Uncle Iroh, everything. It connected to me totally. So then when I rewatched, I hadn't seen the cartoon when I first watched his movie when we did the Honest trailer and everything. So I rewatched it again with her. We did it as sort of a laugh, and it was funny because we knew like they say every name wrong, like the casting's awful, like just everything about it to me is offensive, and to me that's worse just because he took such good material and just completely wasted it. Whereas
see, that's
I don't care about what the Smith family does, but I cared when he did Avatar.
I'm not sure how much control he had over Avatar. That's my thing, and that's where I'm not so sure. I'll just sit here and say like that could have been a collection of idiots. Because you got, isn't that the one that
one of the idiots involved? But yeah, sure, you're right.
Yeah, isn't that the one that Kathleen Kennedy produced, if I'm not mistaken?
No, it's either was that not Dragon Ball? I always get confused.
No, I think she did Avatar. Dragon
maybe.
Oh my god, did she really? Wow.
Yeah, she did one of those two. One of those two is Kathleen Kennedy.
And from what I've heard from the start, I mean, outside of the things that. And outside of what Andy just said, I mean, the main thing I always hear everybody say is that they crammed, like a whole season of a show in one movie.
Yes.
So like, that's the first thing is you're starting with a bad script to begin with. Oh, so like, there's no way around it. I mean, it was kind of it's just a non-starter kind of thing.
Yeah. I remember now, of course. Yeah, no. The Last Airbender, that was Kathleen Kennedy. Dragon Ball was all Tom Rothman.
Yes.
That was one of his.
Yeah, because I think I had to correct you once before on that.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single one of them.
I'm still proud of that movie. Hello, Tom Rothman here. Okay, never mind. That's
anyway, but yeah, as for me, I was never that big a fan of The Sixth Sense. I did not know the twist going in, but I wasn't blown away by it. I thought Unbreakable was fine. Didn't love it. The ones I really did love was Signs and The Village. Like those two movies to me are absolutely fantastic. Never saw Lady in the Water. Really did enjoy The Visit, which I think is really underrated. That
was kind of his comeback.
Yeah, I really like that movie. And Split I thought was fine, and I'm reminded that I still need to see Glass.
Glass is 2/3 of a good movie. Like that's what sucks about it.
That's what I've heard. I'll see it at some point.
And you know what the biggest thing for me is? The biggest twist for Sixth Sense was not so much the ending, but the fact that was Donnie Wahlberg in the opening scene. Because I've seen him in the credits, so I'm like waiting for the whole movie. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for Donnie Wahlberg because I think he's the better actor than his brother. And then I realized, he was the guy in the beginning, and I'm like, holy shit! It was like I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah. But anyway, as for Old, honestly, I wasn't that taken by the TV spot that we just saw. I was like, yeah, okay. It was like the kid from Hereditary. That was like the biggest thing to me, and they all seem to age. And I guess that's going to be really freaky. But yeah, we'll see. I hope for the best. But it's not. I wasn't blown away by the TV spots as I think many others were. but I hope it will live up to expectations.
Honestly, I can't believe we talked about it this long, but that's because we talked about, his other crap more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like that was the only really, if you think about it though, that was probably the biggest movie trailer that we got an actual trailer for, because the rest of them we got trailers for were stuff that's coming to streaming.
Oh, come on. We got Edward Scissorhands 2 starring.
Oh, well, I wanted to hold on to that one because that's where I really wanted to get into some stuff.
Oh, yeah, it's a full top. Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, because if I say the name, we might get shut down right away. So I'll hold off on that for just a little bit. I was going to save that one for last. But, we got the Wayne's World trailer, which we talked a little bit about. Or it wasn't a trailer.
Well, that wasn't a trailer. In terms of trailer, we got the trailer for Fast and the Furious.
Fast and the Furious 9, which I could care less about, so I'll let you guys talk about it.
It's
okay. I'll talk about it a little bit. I have never ever seen a Fast and the Furious movie, not a single one. I've seen the Norwegian remake of Fast and the Furious, and that was pretty awesome. But I haven't seen the original ones, and I do not care one iota for this one. I hope the fans will enjoy it.
Review part 9 without any context of the other 8.
I've not seen the other ones. I've only seen part of the first one.
What's the title of the Norwegian remake? I want to seek this out now.
Burning.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Bad
Burning.
Burning.
Well,
Burning. Yeah.
Burning rubber. Is that where?
Yeah. Burning rubber. It's actually pretty awesome. It's like a race from Oslo to Cape North, all the way up, which is some of the closest land you'll find to the North Pole.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm going to call this Fast 9 trailer boring. I didn't get anything out of it. Not that I've ever seen in the other films. My kid's actually a fucking huge fan, so I've actually spent more money on this franchise than I want to admit. But that's just for his, birthdays and Christmases and shit throughout the years. But he's even lost a lot of interest in it. And that's just because it's turned into a superhero movie with cars. To him, it was all about, the fast cars, the races, the outrunning the cops, that kind of crap. He don't give a shit about, car foo.
I watched The Pacifier this weekend with Vin Diesel. It's a funny story. My kids know Vin Diesel as a music star, not as a film star.
Really?
He had a song that came out this summer that my kids loved, and I gotta be honest, it's catchy for pop music. It's produced by some mega producer DJ guy who actually is good. That's why it's not terrible. But it's just funny because my kids play that song all the time, so they literally know Vin Diesel as the singer. So I was like, all right, it's time to introduce. So that they're like 8, 9. I haven't gotten there because I don't care about the violence. It's the sex stuff. They're still pretty innocent too. So I'm trying to be careful of that stuff. And Fast and Furious 1 is where I want to start. And there's a lot of it. But my point is they saw the trailer for it and they are so confused because they don't know Vin Diesel as an action star. So I started them with The Pacifier, which they actually enjoyed. But what I was going to say was, to me, the funniest thing was the fact that Vin Diesel still has a beef with The Rock and clearly isn't solved, I guess, and he's not there. So he went and got John Cena. I think it's just really funny because he's like, all right, I'll show you, Dwayne. We got John Cena in the new movie. I'm going to go toe to toe with him. And I can just see Vin's ego all over it of how do we beat The Rock? Who's his biggest competitor? How do we get someone instead of The Rock? And they went and got John Cena. I got a problem with John Cena, but to say that there wasn't a move there to tell The Rock, see, I can do it without you, buddy. There's definitely something going on there. So I'm curious to see how that goes. And then do they eventually get to the John Cena versus The Rock in Fast and the Furious? That'd be pretty epic.
I was just going to ask you, is this really a real beef, or are they just building this up like wrestling style?
Oh, dude, they hate each other. I was on the set of the Furious 7 junket, and literally Vin Diesel showed up 4 hours late. So we're all doing our junkets. It was downtown LA at the stadium.
Why am I not surprised he's the bigger dick?
Literally, and The Rock, who I know The Rock. I know The Rock. He's totally awesome gentleman, super generous, nice. Everything you think he does, just because he wants to be the best in the world. There's stuff you could say that he's a workaholic and there's whatever, but when he's there, he looks you in the eye, he learns your name, he's a pro. And Vin Diesel shows up 4 hours late, and then when he shows up, he came with a Beats by Hill and started playing the theme with the Paul Walker song, that song it's a really good song by I forget, but he just showed up and interrupted everyone's junket playing that had his assistant holding the pill, and then interrupted every junket after he's 4 hours late, and I could see The Rock was just It's just like it was so clear they absolutely don't like each other because it's just completely different work ethics. And so they had some. I think they've pretended to make it up because Hobbs and Shaw didn't do as well. But anyway, I want to see John Cena versus The Rock if they actually can go there, because that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I agree. Actually, that sounds pretty cool. I like John Cena. He was awesome in Bumblebee. I look forward to him in Suicide Squad. So actually him being there, that makes me a little bit more interested in seeing The Fast and the Furious. Maybe I'll skip straight into part 9, see how that is, so I don't have to suffer through 8 movies before.
Fast 5, if you're going to just do one, Fast 5 is the best one.
Okay, cool. Oh, so let's see if it's better than the Norwegian remake, because that's pretty sweet.
Andre, I just watched the trailer for that, and Tom, what do I always say?
Drive car fast works in any language.
That's right. Man, drive car fast works in any language, and it does. It looks awesome.
Is that Furious in Norwegian? What is that? The Fast and the Funniest.
Yeah, Fast and the Funniest. Yeah.
Wow, I want to watch it too.
No, it's a really cool movie, and those of you it's not really a remake. It's inspired by. It's not the same story at all.
There seems to be like a B plot with a guy trying to connect with his daughter. And,
yes, that's the heart of the movie. It's the deadbeat dad that spent his entire life racing and stuff like that, and then he's kind of like lost touch with his daughter, and then suddenly she has to come. It's his weekend watching the daughter or something like that, and she has to come with them on this race to the Arctic that he wasn't supposed to go to. It's actually a really, really funny, cool, and heartwarming movie all at once. So if you have the opportunity to check it out, it's really cool.
I like the bit when they show the cops eating donuts. I'm like, yep, some things are the same all over the world. Yep.
We even filmed it not too far away from where I live, so that's also cool. But yeah. Okay, so do we have anything more to say about the Fast and the Furious? What other movie trailers were there?
Not many. We did get another one for Coming to America 2, which I think.
Oh yeah, that's we got that one. What do you all think about that?
Well,
it was short. I like that. It's shorter because I'm just nervous about it. I don't know, but
I'm with Andy. I'm a bit nervous.
But I love the first one so much that I might just be like, but I didn't see. I hated Anchorman 2. I hated Dumb and Dumber 2. Like, and usually those comedy sequels when they come back are always bad. Can you think of one that worked? Caddyshack 2. I mean, like, what sequel to a comedy has actually worked well?
Don't remind me of Caddyshack 2. Oh my god, I
liked Caddyshack 2, but yeah, that's me. But I saw that one before.
Why?
I saw the original because of the little cuddly gopher, whatever the heck it is.
Gopher scenes in part 2 are the only good stuff. Like, other than that, it's just the same movie all over. Like, literally the same movie all over again. And that's traditionally what a comedy sequel does, right? I know, but like, I felt bad for Jackie Mason and that motherfucker because, like, and Chevy Chase is barely there. Like, he's just like, talk about phoning it in. Like,
right? Anyway. Dan Aykroyd replacing Bill Murray too, right?
Yeah, that was bad.
I know there are some good comedy sequels, but not any modern ones that I can think of. You know, like a vintage one from the 70s and 80s.
And I didn't even hate Dumb and Dumber 2. Like, that to me, as far as like trying to think of the ones where you had this huge gap between them, like, that's probably the best of them, of all of them. And like, that's not saying shit.
I thought it was so creepy watching old Jim Carrey do the same shtick.
Don't get me wrong. Like, it's like,
and I don't care. I don't like all the woke, but like him just all old, just doing flirting with the girl. Like, oh my god, it looks so great.
To me is a 10 out of 10, right? Like,
amazing.
2 is at best maybe a 6. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's probably the best of the sludge.
Austin Powers 2, that's a good one. Someone
but see, that was right after the first one. We're talking about ones that are where you got a good 10, 20 years between.
Oh yeah, European Christmas Vacation. Those are another good one.
Those are other good ones.
I mean, but they're like vintage ones from like.
Yeah, but now there's a good example. The Vacation movie that we just got a few years ago. That was a huge gap between the last ones.
Ed Helms, that was awful.
Yeah, that was fucking trash. There you go. And that was
a god awful one
because they had Clark and Helen in it, so it is supposed to be Russ. It is.
A couple people named the best sequel, and I'm sorry I forgot about it. Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, but another one that can't. As long as they come out close to the original, they're fine. You know, you don't have to worry about it. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is fine. 22 Jump Street people are talking about. That came close enough to the original. It's fine.
That scene with Ice Cube and Channing Tatum in Part 2 is so damn good.
I want to know. I don't think there is one that I can think of offhand where they had a gap of more than, say 5 years that it worked out real well. I think you're right. Maybe American Dream, and there you go.
Again, there is one, but it's very vintage.
And Clerks 2.
The return of the Pink Panther. There was like almost a 10-year gap between that and A Shot in the Dark.
Well, the only other one I'll accept right now is Clerks 2. That's the best answer.
That's a really good one too. I actually like
Time Pass
better than the first one. Yeah. So of course there are, but they're very few and far between. So generally a little bit worried about Coming to America Part 2 then, I take it.
A little bit. It's got a lot of the feeling of the ones that Andy was just talking about, where like the Dumb and Dumber 2 and a couple of the other ones where they just they feel like they're way too old to be doing this.
Well, though, I gotta say that someone just said it, and I guess it technically counts. It's a comedy action, but the new Bad Boys was surprisingly good.
True. I did enjoy that quite a bit.
Bring that back, and I did not think I would enjoy it as much as I did, but I
actually liked it better than the second one.
Yeah, I think that was one exception to the rule recently. So this doesn't feel like that, though. And that was ours, right? Bad Boys was For Life was ours.
Yeah.
That was a star rating. It would have been such a wiser move, and I think they probably must be regretting that now since they're not in theaters and they just went to streaming, because they clearly did that to appease to a wider audience, and now they're stuck on streaming. And I wish they would have just gone back and made an unrated version or something, because it's so stupid. You go to Amazon Prime and not use the fact that the rating doesn't matter now.
Hello, Mr. H. I see Mr. H is in the chat. No, and Andy, you're right. 100%. I agree with you, because the moment I heard Coming to America 2 was going to be PG-13, I'm like, no, what are you thinking? This isn't like, I mean, I get the like you said, I get the idea behind it, but now that they're doing this, it's just like, why? I hope to God there's an unrated version they did or something like that, but no, I mean, I want to see this, but I'm worried it's going to suffer from all the things we're worried about. I hope I'm wrong, but there's not been much in the trailer to make me think otherwise. And I had higher hopes for this.
Oh, well, there we go. It'll be excited to see how that works out then. So, any other trailers before we get into the others? Wannabe movies.
I don't know. Was there any other trailers?
Raya and the Last Dragon, which looks like a fine for a kids movie. We'll see.
I didn't see that one.
I like Moana, and it looks like maybe it could be like Moana, or it could not. But we'll see. But there wasn't anything else major.
They didn't do.
They did like a Disney Plus ad, and then they did all those Paramount Plus ads, which I don't know if we're talking about. Those were cringy.
Yeah, let's get into the Paramount Plus ad now. This should be a real Lucy. Andy, share your feelings.
Well, it was just like they don't have the characters to like try and do what they did, which was like had everyone walk into the mountain. It was like Jeff Probst from Survivor, and like then they had like James Corden, and I guess they had SpongeBob, and then it was all of it, like what's his name, Pike from Discovery. It was such a weird gathering of like, yeah, are any of those really worth it? No, I don't think so. It was like a weird showcase of like trying to make it seem like you're gonna want this, and they got all these actors to come green screen up some fake mountain, and then they got up there to see Picard, and it was like, and I'll even though I don't like Picard the show, I'll always love Jean-Luc and Patrick Stewart. I'll always have a special place in my heart. But it just was such like a cringy, like, and then Colbert's at the like, hey, you could just tell none of them wanted to be there, but somehow they were like contractually obligated because Paramount's the company they work for, through CBS, Viacom, whatever ancillary connection that they sort of were guilt tripped into doing by their agents, I'm sure. But it just felt like such a cringe fest to like, Beavis and Butthead showing up. You're just like, oh my God.
Oh, that was the highlight. Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, that was the highlight to me as well.
Yeah, and we got half a second of a Ninja Turtle.
Exactly.
Freaking Mikey Spock marching everybody off a cliff. That's what I got out of this.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't there though, was she? I didn't see her.
Well, she was in one of the other ones. Yeah. Remember, I sent that one. There was a bunch. Okay. This was all leading up to like this last big trailer with Patrick Stewart. That's what it was all leading to. And what's sad is when you're trying to do a joke that's set in the idea that it's cringe and it actually comes off as cringe, then that means you failed. Like that's the whole point of the whole joke, and it's just not working. It comes off so bad. It comes off poorly executed. It looks like something that a bunch of people filmed separately in front of a green screen, or not at all, in cases of, where they actually used actual footage. Like this, like seeing Lucy and Desi really bothered me in the earlier ones, and some of the other people that they just pulled in. It's just like, no, that's not right. And again, like I brought up to Andre, clearly they didn't get Mike Judge's cooperation on this either, because all we got out of Beavis and Butthead is just some laughs and it's not how he sounds now either. And we know because Andre and I are huge Beavis and Butthead fans. So
as am I. So
yeah, I'm watching the yeah, you're right. Because I'm playing it again. That Lucy shot is so offensive. It's like they clearly had Jeff Probst because they own him. Sorry, I didn't mean to turn it. They have Jeff Probst who's like climbing up the mountain all aggressively because he's who they can afford to actually shoot with. And then everyone else is just completely, that
and Patrick Stewart, I have to say, that was really just like, it was painful to watch because I'm like, oh my God, you have really become the parody of yourself that you're made to be on Family Guy and American Dad. That's what you have become, only worse. It was painful to watch, in my opinion. And also, I have to say, as someone like that's doesn't like watch all the American reality TV and stuff, I had to like stop and ask Tom several times, who the hell is this?
Like, a lot of people are reminding of this one comedy that did actually work, and that was Bill and Ted. But that's like almost an exception.
I did like that. It was fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. Can't believe we forgot about that. Shame on you, Tom.
Well, that's because I don't consider it a comedy. I consider it more of an adventure. I mean, I guess it is kind of a comedy, but I mean, I don't know. It has all the other sci-fi adventure elements to it too. I don't just like kind of like Bad Boys when Andy, like I didn't jump right to Bad Boys either for that reason.
Yeah.
Are we still like the cringe of this Paramount?
Yeah, go for it. Let's have fun with it.
Because as I'm playing with it, I forgot they like pulled out the Ring Girl because they're like, I guess we have that in our arsenal. Like
that was the best thing. That was the best thing. Like seeing like the Beavis and Butthead looking at her like when she was trying to dance, or they edited so it looked like that. That was the highlight. That was the one and only good thing.
This felt like a Perry Chan video put together, but they didn't have nearly enough assets to use like Perry Chan does, and I don't know if Andy knows what I'm talking about, but Rob I know does. And
yeah, I think that's going to be Perry Chan's next video. Probably.
He could probably do a much better version of this. That's what I'm saying. Like,
but like
they put like DJ Khaled in, and I guess because he's got a Grammy award on him, so they're like, we have the Grammys.
Have the Grammys, yeah, and then they have sports people in there and other people in there.
All this illustrates is that Viacom, CBS / Paramount, or whatever they're calling it these days, does not have enough assets to be viable in the streaming realm. Correct. That's all this shows. I mean, fuck Survivor. I'm gonna subscribe for Survivor.
I love Survivor, but I'm with you. It's not subscription.
Well, I predicted this entire thing. What did I say? There was going to be their big highlight, Andre, and it ended up being the big thing. The big thing in this trailer was the whole SpongeBob deal, because that's the best they've got.
You know, Andy, I love The Amazing Race, but I mean, I checked; they only have the last couple seasons on there.
Oh, that's ridiculous! If they don't have all of it, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
I need to go back and watch season 8. They're all the same season.
Yeah. That's a great point because Paramount Plus is not going to have a lot of exclusive shit on it, right, Andre?
No, pretty much, because all of their good stuff, that's like licensed out elsewhere, so they have to like get that back first, and when they do get it back, still their library honestly isn't that huge, and most of it is really old and vintage that people that in need of like new iterations or new versions, because no one's going to care about the originals, brands they haven't maintained.
to prove what you just said, Andre, they literally sold their property, which was coming to America, to Amazon.
I was just going to bring that up.
Right before they launched, they're stupid. Like, hello, you have your theatrical big thing that probably would have brought a lot of people to get Paramount Plus, and they sold it to Amazon. That's how much faith they have in coming to America.
Well, you know why this is Emma Watts said this flat out. She said, we're not going to be as exclusive as some of the other companies are. And the reason for that is they don't have the money. Now I'm paraphrasing now because I have, she gave basically this long whole spiel of what they're going to do. But the basics of it is they have to still license out all this other stuff, make movies and other properties for other networks and like Netflix and Amazon and stuff to be able to fund the shit that's going to be on Paramount Plus, because they don't have no money. Paramount is broke.
Well, Andy, I don't know how old you are, but when I was a kid, I remember like the big shows on CBS where CBS's Sunday night lineup was second to none. You had Carol Burnett, you had All in the Family, you had the Jeffersons, you had Mary Tyler Moore. Mondays.
What decade you went back to? Because I was like, all right, how old is he? Yeah, no, you went way back. But yeah, no, I know all those. Those were like more reruns, but they were so good that even when I was the next generation, like I knew of all those because they were syndicated on the channels. But yeah, no, but even then, I would give them CSI, right? There was a lot of errors where they CBS owned television, especially for older demo.
And you had MASH. I mean, a lot of those shows they don't own. Like Tom said, they don't own. All in the Family is owned by Sony, I believe, Columbia Pictures. Yep. MASH is owned by Fox, 20th Century Fox, so they're a Disney Plus property now, which means Klinger is now a Disney princess. What was that?
Now Klinger's a Disney princess. You're right, Rob.
So and
somebody said it, but remember they owned Marvel. They had the rights to Marvel, and
they sold. Yeah, well.
Oh man,
they're yeah.
What was that, Andre? How cheap could they have bought in Marvel back in the day?
Oh, I don't remember, but it was nothing. It was peanuts. They could have afforded it now.
They're the guys. Paramount are the guys. Are the guy who passed on the Beatles guitars on the way out, Brian. That's who they are now.
Somebody correct me, but I could have swore the number that sticks out in my head is they could have had Marvel for $2 billion, lock, stock, and barrel, and they fucked it up.
That's a pittance now. That's a pittance.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how far back you go. There was a point where they were bankrupt, right? And that's why they did the amalgam. I mean, there was I talked to, I had Taj Jackson, Michael Jackson's nephew on. And he was telling me all about when Michael was going to buy it and then become Spider-Man. Like, there was a point where literally anybody could have like come in and like, yeah, I'll have it, please. Nobody wanted it. It's crazy.
They won't let me play Peter Pan, so I'm gonna be Peter Parker. Fuck them.
He almost did it.
Now, somebody said in the chat,
I'm gonna be Batman too, by the way.
Mike Cat says, imagine a Paramount MCU. I think it could be better. Well, we don't know really. I mean, that's the thing. The first few movies were actually really.
The only thing we would have gotten out of the Paramount MCU that probably would have been different than now, because it would have rebuilt Paramount. Like, let's be real here. It would have rebuilt Paramount. But what we would have gotten is maybe a little bit more edgier, and they would have taken a few more risks maybe after they got bigger. But in the beginning, we wouldn't have gotten the risks like Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff like that. I don't think that Paramount would have taken those kind of risks. What do you guys think? That's a good question, I think.
It is a good. I was thinking it's all really. I go to Feige, like how much would he have had the same level of control? And I bet he wouldn't have. I think Paramount would have needled, and other people would have wanted to be him. Whereas Disney's sort of like, yeah, whatever. I let that guy do it. All right, he's the nerd comic book guy. He seems to be, and he sort of rose and knew how to deal with those execs at Disney. Whereas I don't think it would have been the same at Paramount. Too many other people would have tried to be him because Disney was successful, right? Is what you got to remember. And Paramount wasn't. So a lot of people would have tried to swoop in to like overshadow him or take over. I think you wouldn't have had maybe the same control and organization that I think is what really did make the MCU become the MCU.
That's a very I agree completely. I don't think that that Marvel would have been what it is right now if Paramount had it. I don't think that anyone else could have done what Kevin Feige has done with it, had things not unfolded exactly as they did, so that either Paramount or Michael Jackson or someone else ended up in control. The movie landscape would not look like it was right now, because it was only the constellation where Kevin Feige was firmly in charge that led to the MCU as we know it. You're completely right, Andy. I think that if it had been with Paramount or anyone else, it would have been too many other incumbents that would have wanted to put their mark on it, and it would have been bad.
You know what I think proves that, and the linchpin of that is if it was still at Paramount, Feige wouldn't have had the power to get rid of Ike Perlmutter. I think
he probably would have had 10 Ikes, like trying to
exactly. Exactly. A very, very good point right there. But while we are on the topic of Paramount, something else to come out from them, certainly from their secret hideout division, is Clarice. and we got like another trailer for that. Now, Andy, I want to hear your thoughts on that one first.
Like, why? Oh, you know what? Let's show how she lost the lambs. Let's the story that works so well in the movie. Let's go back and see her cry about the lambs. Like, no, leave things alone. Why can't we leave stories alone? They already made countless sequels and stuff, and even prequels to the Science of Lambs in the movies. Like, they've beaten it to death. Oh my God, watching that show, and they're trying to make her look like she's going to be like some superhero agent. You're just like, I feel like they missed the whole point of the movie. They're going to take away all surprise. It's like, I remember when they were going to do John McClane .1 or whatever, Die Hard .1 or whatever it was. And they're like, no, you can't go back and show me that John McClane's a super cop, because it completely deflates and ruins Die Hard, because he was an everyday guy becoming a superhero because he had to go against these people. Once you go back and show me all of this, add all of this unnecessary stuff to sell subscriptions, you're actually doing a disservice to your property, because we're all going to look back on Silence of the Lambs less fondly now, because it's so much, oversaturation of garbage that are trying to exploit it, that you're going to explode it, where we're like, oh, it was a cool movie. I think, was it? I don't even remember.
No, you bring up a great point with the Die Hard one, because that's what I kept saying is like, you can't do a young John McClane. He was a flat-foot detective.
Yep.
Like, that's the whole point. He didn't really deal with the kind of shit that he dealt with in Die Hard. That's what makes it unique.
Yeah, you have like an ordinary guy in the most unordinary situation.
Yeah,
and he has to rise up. And he has to rise up and be a hero.
Yeah, he's the last guy he would expect to be there. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he's not a super cop. He's not Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
that's the whole point. Pusher. That's the whole thing. Is he's a New York detective? Like, yeah, and we don't even know what kind of detective really. At first, they don't really give us any kind of idea. He could be, he could be investigating like burglaries and shit. So, like, yeah, he would never see any kind of action or anything like that. That's the whole point. Like, he's not necessarily a narcotics cop or anything like that from what we can see. So, anyway, but no, like, the Clarice thing, I think you bring a great point. And then bringing in the whole entire trailer is the Silence of the Lambs monologue.
Well, that's Alex Kurtzman's MO. He has to go back and he has to glom onto an existing property and he has to tie it back to what he's doing now so that it becomes part of the canon and so that it's inseparable. Oh, look, this legitimizes me because I'm going back and I'm showing you more of what I'm doing. No, shut up. I don't care. It's the exact same thing he did with Star Trek. That's why doesn't Spock talk about his sister, and then he has to go back and show you, because he ran away in the woods one night and he secretly, oh, for God's sake. I'm sick of it. Sick of Alex Kurtzman. Go away.
Can I raise another point as well? This trailer right here, or not trailer, but like this spot that we saw here, this Super Bowl spot where we have the dialogue from Silence of the Lambs now visualized with the sheep and everything like that, and the moth coming on her nose and everything like that to mimic like the movie poster of Silence of the Lambs. All of this is for a movie that is now, this year, 30 years old. What I wonder is how many people that watched this thing, especially of younger people that they need to draw in saw that thing and had no idea what the heck was going on and what the heck was being referenced, because they to me it looked like they were trying to like play on all of these emotional heartstrings and everything like that, as if this was some kind of mega Avengers level blockbuster event movie that came out in the last 5 years, and they're trying to play on all the fields and everything for that. But in reality, I think that, of course, we're going to recognize what this is, and many people out there will as well. But I don't think that nearly many enough people, as they hope, are even going to recognize what the heck this is.
Well,
will even have heard about Silence of the Lambs.
Well,
what do you all think about that?
That's kind of what Kurtzman does. He gloms onto a property that hasn't been seen in 30 years. Look at Hawaii Five-0. Hawaii Five-0 ran from 1968 to 1980, and then he brings it back in 2010. So you know what? You know why he does that? So he could do whatever you want to it. He does whatever he wants to it, because of the thinking, well, nobody remembers this, so they're not going to know better because he's that big of a hack.
Someone brought up the fact that EW made a review and they ruined it. They skewered it. So they.
Oh God! Not only did they do that, they went after Kurtzman.
Yeah,
that was glorious.
Yeah, that was amazing.
What's funny to me is they did this back in as I was looking, and they 5 major revelations like to try and sell the show, and it's just like first one is like where was it? The show's 1993 is significant. I'm like, all right, okay, I don't have a problem. And then it won't and can't mention Hannibal.
Yeah, which is something that we actually brought up a year ago now, almost, wasn't it, Andre?
Yeah, we can break down.
If you can't mention his name, like how stupid is that?
Yeah, no, they can't. They're prevented from legally. They don't have the rights to him.
And then they go, it won't have a traditional serial killer. Oh, great. That sounds like that'll be exciting. Oh, and then Clarice will tackle racial issues. Oh, great. You know, that was relevant in 1993. I was there. I mean, sure, it always was relevant, but of course they're making that more relevant now. And then the put the lotion in the basket is a star in the show. What? She adopted Buffalo Bill's dog. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where I'm just like, no. Why? Yeah,
the mother or whatever from the movie actually is like part of the first pilot episode as well.
Anyway, I so stupid.
Yeah, actually, we had the script from almost a year ago.
Oh, yeah. I think Jesse was on and told me or something. It
was it was horrible.
It was god awful. Absolutely, And it's so ridiculous that they even will do the series and they try to like sell it as a Hannibal Lecter spin-off, which it kind of is. It just can't feature Hannibal Lecter or nearly anyone else. Or really, let's do it simple. Let's say who it can feature. It can feature the characters associated with the novel Silence of the Lambs and nothing else. Now that would be Clarice Starling. It would be Buffalo Bill. And it would be Agent Krendler or whatever. Those are the 3. That's it. Those are the ones they can use. The entire rest of the Hannibal Lecter canon is off limits to them.
What's so funny is like they can't even use Buffalo Bill because he dies right at the end. But I love the idea of like this is like Marvel and Sony like jockeying for characters. Like who can we use? And it would like for the Silence of the Lambs, like we're so desperate for content.
That's what's bad is in the script it keeps flashing back to the whole Buffalo Bill thing.
Oh,
constantly.
Because he's one of the 3 they can use, and he's dead by the time this begins, so they have 2 left.
Yeah, and there's like I can't remember if he's like a petty thief or something. There's some guy that's kind of like a Hannibal character in there, but like it's really convoluted. Like the whole idea is stupid. And somebody brought up the accent before. I think it was you, Tonister Tree. But like, yeah, like the whole thing with the accent, the reason why that's bad is because the actress isn't really doing a Southern accent. She's doing her impression of Jodie Foster doing a Southern accent. That's really what it is.
All I can think of now is Joe Dirt. Hey, it puts Joe Dirt in the hole. That's all I can think of now.
Puts the lotion on it, skin it on it, puts it in the basket.
All right, man. All right. What do you want from me? He was going to wear you like a Joe Dirt trench coat.
That's making fun of Silence of the Lambs, Rob, by the way.
Well, at least it's getting bad reviews, right?
We're contractually obligated not to mention that, though, aren't we?
No, yeah. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Joe Dirte.
Yeah.
When will Alex Kurtzman stop getting jobs?
When did what?
When will Alex Kurtzman stop getting jobs?
Well, hopefully after this Entertainment Weekly article, because that's the thing is he's always been somebody that's been on the protected list because, he does the virtue signaling shows and he's a yes man for all the right producers.
Right.
So, we've even had people that say to us, off record, they'll sit there and stick up for Alex Kurtzman all the time.
Well, it's because they want to get work from him.
Well, no, off the record. That's what I'm saying, Rob. It's not like it's on the record to where other people hear it, but I think it's mainly just because he kisses all the right ass.
I saw a Forbes article that called Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci Hollywood's secret weapons because they'd made $3 billion on their movies.
Well, at first it was that way. That's the thing, Rob. And that's what I keep reminding people like Doomcock and stuff when they ask me how JJ can keep going is because JJ has done nothing but make money. The third Star Trek was the one that didn't make money. That's the one he had nothing to do with. He was in the eyes of Hollywood. They came crawling to him to fix Star Wars.
And they're going to come crawling to him to fix Superman.
Exactly. All these things, they're in the right place at the right time and they got the right excuse all the time.
Mm-hmm. There's an expression. Some people have a wide enough ass to fall into anything. Yeah. That's what it's like. Alex Kurtzman, he's just perpetually just fallen into the right situation. And he just convinces enough people he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and eventually
he's a great politician. It's as simple as that. He's not a great filmmaker, not a great showrunner, but he's a great politician, and that's what trumps most other things. It's really that simple. There's a little more to it.
But the whole thing is, like I said, I keep saying everything is a sugar high with him and JJ. You get a short rush of oh wow, there's this, but it comes crashing back to earth, and it just peters out. And hopefully, people are going to get wise to this. Probably not, but I'm hoping against hope at this point.
But I think we should move past Clarice for now.
Yeah, we should. Let's do a couple of super chats, and then we'll move on from there. Maybe we can get into some Edward Scissorhands and stuff. That should be a real doozy.
Yeah, I think it's been late enough now. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
In the algorithm, yeah.
Yeah, but first, a couple of super chants. Stephen Otten says, the only surprise was the trailer for Old. I'm willing to give Shyamalan another chance. Yeah, we saw that. And Jason Andorfer says, the Illuminati reporting Keanu Reeves as Craven. That would probably be Illuminati is probably how to pronounce. The Illuminati reporting Keanu Reeves as Craven.
Illuminati.
Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard of Keanu Reeves actually doing that. I can follow up, but Illuminati, I'm friendly with them. They're pretty good. I often, when I'm breaking a scoop, they sometimes have beat me to it. So I if they're saying it, maybe.
We've been hearing rumors that they've been talking to Keanu.
Yeah, we have. Wouldn't surprise me. It seems like great casting, you ask me.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I'll try and ask around, but is it current or old? Yeah, exclusive 50 minutes ago has been formally offered the role of Craven. Yeah, so there you go.
I'm not surprised. Like I said, we have been hearing that they've been talking to Keanu quite a bit at Marvel, so that's a big possibility.
I'm talking to my source as we're on, so yeah, I'll let you know.
On talking to your source and about you, Tebios Tobak says for 20 Norwegian krona, Andy Signore is toxic.
Well, then he's in the right place.
Some kind of joke because we're all toxic here, aren't we? And and Marcos A says,
as long as they're paying you guys, you can read whatever the hell they say. Yeah.
Yeah, and to contrast to that, Marcus A says, Midnight's Edge, this is another reason I love your channel. Having Andy Signore on your show today. Popcorn Planet is a great channel. So yes, everyone check that out. Link is in the description.
Thank you, Marcus.
So do check out Popcorn Planet. And Valiant Renegade says 24 frames per second and 1/50th shutter equals natural motion blur and cinematic look. 48 frames per second, 100th shutter is jarring. Hollywood stays at 24 for a good reason. Yes, indeed. There was a reason that they invented or went with 24 frames a second to begin with, and it wasn't because that was the most they could do.
No, it was
Adam THM says for $4.99, I bet the plot twist in Old is like sand lice steal people's souls or the sand is cursed by pirates. Yeah, well, let's see what the twist will be. That'll be fun. Euler's Workshop says, Lady in the Water is one of my favorites. Movies in the extra features, M. Night Shyamalan explains that film was a story he told in parts as a bed story to his kids. Well, that evidently doesn't always work, does it? And,
I'm glad you enjoyed it. A lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And your Muslim uncle says, Hail, hey, and hey, rerun reference. White men in their 50s killed it this year. Wayne's World, McConaughey, that Pizza Hut commercial. Tired of winning? And Tiberius Monk says for $10, Bill and Ted 3 was a comedy made decades after the original that was excellent.
Yeah, we brought that up too.
Also, I have faith in Coming to America. The director is solid and made films including the excellent Dolomite Is My Name. And Stephen Otten wonders, what kind of blackmail did they have on Tom Selleck to appear in that ad?
Well, he's on one of their shows, isn't he, right now? The Blue Bloods or whatever?
Yeah, he's in one of them. And sends a super sticker of a diamond, so thanks for that. And Rod Thunderheart says, it's just like Jar Jar did with Han and Chewbacca into the Falcon. Chewie, we're home. Then the key jangling if Han looking around cockpit and team plays.
Well, you know about the Wayne's World thing, I will say this. Dana Carvey could still play Garth.
He absolutely could, yeah.
That's about all I'm going to say.
Yeah, kind of. And
I'll leave the rest up to your imagination.
Mike Myers is a huge diva, but they did finally at least make up, I will say, too.
Yeah, but he does not look good.
Doesn't look good. But he's also just such a pain in the ass to work with. I did a whole break. I have a second channel called Movie World where I got into the drama of Wayne's World and how he tried to get rid of Dana Carvey at a couple points. Like it was intense. But I'm glad to see in his old age he's finally leveling out and trying to make peace with people. But yeah. Great.
I'd rather see a Garth movie right now, not Wayne's and Garth, because Wayne just did not age well.
Yeah. I mean, the wig didn't look good on Dana Carvey, let's be honest. But I've always loved Dana Carvey. He was so amazing on that show, on Saturday Night Live.
He's aged very well. Carvey has. Like, he looks older, but, I mean, he can still do all the same voices, and he's still got the same energy. So.
Have you watched the Dana Carvey show?
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, amazing. People, Louis C.K., so many amazing people behind Charlie.
I was watching it live when it was on.
Yeah.
We were one of the few.
We still bring up leftover Beatle memories.
All the time.
German saying nice things.
I killed a man once. The record company said it was okay.
You know, I was just blunking on the blunker yesterday.
I'm surprised.
I've never seen that, but
we didn't try to cancel Colbert playing Skinheads in Maine. Club.
Oh God, you should check that out, Andre. There's only 6 episodes.
Okay, cool.
It got canceled after 6 episodes because of how controversial it was.
Well, no, he followed Home Improvement, and the first thing he did was play Bill Clinton, and then had 6 kids breastfeeding puppies, and the audience was like, "What? No thanks," and clicked out, and then never came back.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So Dana Carvey, he has like a history with canceled showdowns. I mean,
Absolutely.
He was in Blue Thunder, the series as well.
Yeah, Dana Carvey can't catch a break, but the man's a genius. That's all I'm gonna say.
Funny. Such a nice.
Yeah, no, because of the two, it was no doubt like who looked better and had aged better. Like none of them like looked good in their 20s rocker outfits this day and age, especially not, the one who isn't Dana Carvey. Well, let's not say any more about it, but
I like Mike Myers.
My God.
Yeah, just
yeah, well, I don't really, but
would you let him do? I mean, would you give him a shot to try to do an Austin Powers reboot? Like
Austin Powers, yes, but that's only if they do the idea that Rob and I came up with.
Got it.
And the short version
idea would that be?
The short version of it is that Dr. Evil first of all decides he doesn't want to be good anymore because that was stupid.
I tried it. It didn't work out. Okay.
It didn't work out. Okay. Anyway, so then he wants to get Austin, and he figures out the best way to do it is woke points. And he wants to make the world woke because it goes against everything that Austin Powers stands for. And yeah, it's this whole thing where he uses what was it again, Rob?
Embedded like in an app. It's embedded like in a phone app.
Yeah, he makes a phone app like Twitter.
Like Twitter,
yeah, it's this whole like convoluted thing that he does.
Oh yeah, it's a dig at social media and people like how Twitter is Twitter likes your currency now,
and basically the end of it.
And cancel culture too, yeah.
Yeah, basically in the end of it, because Austin Powers gets canceled. That's the whole thing. And then in the end of it, though, basically it's all about Austin basically showing everybody, like, look, we did all this shit 30 years ago already.
Look, man,
or 40 years ago or whatever.
Look, man, when we were making fun of each other for our differences, we weren't putting ourselves down. We were celebrating them. It's a very groovy scene, baby. You should try it.
I like us.
Yeah, it's kind of a just the twist on the culture today and how they use it against him, but yet it's like how we keep saying, like, we've done this shit already, kids. You're not inventing anything. The wheel was already invented.
You also got to do some sort of reboot or something. I mean, you can't ignore that because that's what they try to do. Have Timothy Chalamet as Austin Powers in the beginning or something.
Kind of like the Tom Cruise thing in part 3. Because that's the thing. You got to make up for part 3.
They were doing the big budget version of it, but I'm talking about like who's rebooting Tom Cruise's Austin Powers movie. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it'd be, somebody like that. Yeah. That'd be good. There you go. Throw that in there too.
Or like get Daniel Craig to like show up and really just do it.
Yeah, they're making like a serious Austin Powers movie. That'd be good.
Is there much else to say about Wayne and Garth?
No,
I was never into them because we didn't have Saturday Night Live, so I only saw the movies. Only later did I understand that they like originated as like skits from there, so I felt like I missed out.
They were like Beavis and Butthead just before Beavis and Butthead, kind of.
Yeah, I'll take Beavis and Butthead. Thank you.
I know you will, and I will too. But
always Wayne's World.
I'm just trying to explain to you the popularity of it, Andre. Like,
no, I figured because like when I watched the movie, I was like, this thing, it looks like this must be like the shit in the States or something, but like I just don't see it. But
they were making fun of like public access stuff when it started on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
So it was like there was a genre of that, of weird guys in the basement, but I thought the movie took it to a level.
So basically, they were YouTubers before YouTube.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's funny that you say that, because that's what Rob and I said. If you do a Wayne's World 3 now, that's the only way you could do it, is that their show's on YouTube, basically. And we said, you don't even do a movie, just do YouTube videos. Just have Wayne and Garth do their own YouTube channel. It'd be fucking huge.
And then Jimmy Fallon did that skit on Saturday Night Live too. I forget what it was, but him and Horatio Sanz literally did like the YouTuber version of Wayne's World. It was never as good.
Oh, lame.
All right, I'm going to do a couple of more super chats, and then we can get into the other 90s revival in Edward Scissorhands. That should be a blast. Hurin the Steadfast says, life's a garden, dig it. George Forrest Jr. says, Kurtzman will lose work when JJ loses work. So yeah, not anytime soon.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And Joey R75 says for $4.99, just tuned in. Great to see Andy, one of my favorite YouTubers.
Thanks, man.
And Mills says for 35 South African runs, From the Razzie Award-winning writer and director of the 2017 Mummy comes more bad STDs with no distribution partners. But yeah, that's true. Clarice probably doesn't have international distribution of that either. I really hope for their sake that Paramount Plus is going to be international.
Well, isn't Clarice supposed to be on CBS proper, though?
Yeah, that doesn't help internationally.
No, but it'd be a network show then. So whatever equivalent they have of CBS wherever would probably carry.
Well, someone has to pick it up. There's no equivalent of CBS. Then they have to like sell it to whoever they have agreements with. Like I know which.
Well, that's what I mean. Like whoever they have predetermined here. That's what I'm saying. Whoever they would have predetermined agreements.
They probably have like further rights of first refusal, and they'll probably find someone to pick it up of those. But like network TV isn't really doing so hot anywhere in the world right now. None of them can pay what they used to be able to.
No,
none of them can pay Netflix or Amazon money.
No, but that's my whole point was when we got to the point before about CBS, how popular they used to be, or big they used to be is the better word, because they had the most networks in the US. That's why they were so big. They had the biggest reach. And I don't know what it's like in other countries, if they have CBS in other countries or what, but yeah.
Generally, no. It's like be local equivalents.
The irony is they're starting at the bottom again with Paramount Plus, but anyway.
Yeah, they are. But everyone has Paramount, though, so there's just a matter of like building the distribution there. But at least they have the video distribution, if nothing else. And then 2 more super chats, and then we get into the next thing here. Taker610 says, "Master of Disguise was not genius, though, Tom."
No, that was not the greatest of his movies.
I'm a turtle. Was it? I'm a turtle.
I'm a turtle. It has its moments, though. I mean, hey, if you're 6 and you see that movie, I bet it's fucking genius.
Yeah.
The other one, I always Opportunity Knocks back in the day.
That's the one. I see. Dana Carvey has done Clean Slate, Opportunity Knocks, and a couple other films that are just completely overlooked.
The one hilarious. Where he loses his memory. That was a fantastic
Clean Slate. Clean Slate is great. Great film. Those 2 films.
Alone from Hot Shots. Yeah, I like that one.
There's another one too from that era, and I can't remember.
Trapped in Paradise with John Lovitz and Nicolas Cage.
Yes, that's the other one I was trying to think of.
90s movies, I can always grab them. Like those are the ones I remember.
Yeah. I mean, he did a lot of good stuff that was just completely overlooked. And I mean, I've seen people saying about his casting. Well, somebody said Chris Farley was the better cast member. He actually was there many years before Chris Farley.
Oh yeah.
But Chris Farley, I consider.
I love Farley.
Yeah, I consider Farley a part of a different kind of cast, though. See, when I think of Dana Carvey, he to me is part of the Phil Hartman, John Lovitz, those guys kind of cast.
Hartman, man, such a sad losing him. He was so amazing.
Yeah, when I think of Farley, I think of Sandler, Chris Rock, that era.
Back when Saturday Night Live actually did funny, like Phil Hartman did a skit. The anal retentive chef.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
That's one thing. Peacock, speaking of
so small, and it's like it's such a brilliance because it never gets to go anywhere. But that was the joke. They never do things like that anymore.
Andre's lucky he keeps me busy, or I'd get so sucked into Peacock right now because I guess they have all of the Saturday Night Lives.
Yeah.
Are even the musical acts included?
I don't know. I'm assuming so.
That's how we kept them back. A lot of rights because like songs they would play that they didn't actually clear. That'd be fascinating to have a full actual everything uncensored would be awesome.
The
Sinead O'Connor ripping up the Pope, all of it.
I don't know if that stuff's there. That's a good question.
Actually, you know what? That even wasn't the most. That wasn't even the line. The actual, if you go read about it, the line was nearly drawn at the replacements appearing on Saturday Night Live, because Harry Stanton Shearer was the host, and they were getting drunk with him backstage before the show. And then the replacements come on, and they.
Did you really just use Harry Shearer's middle name?
Harry Stanton's. No, who the fuck is that? Not Harry Stanton Shearer. Oh God, the guy was the security guard in Avengers. Remember? Well, son, looks like you have.
Oh, that's Dean Stanton.
Dean Stanton, yeah, Harry Dean Stanton. Okay.
Dean Stanton. That was like
I was gonna say Harry Shearer's The Simpsons, and he was on Saturday Night Live, and he's in Spinal Tap for.
Okay, sorry, people. Sorry, people. I got this one wrong. Okay, but he had a resurgence of his career, and he was getting drunk with the replacements backstage, and they come out and they play Bastards of Young, and they're ripping through it, and then Paul Westerberg says, "Come on, let's do this, fucker."
and Lorne Michaels was livid. And they still had another song to play for the night after the next couple breaks. So yeah, the network almost pulled the plug on them, and Lorne Michaels had to do everything he could to keep the show from getting canceled.
Well, and the other reason why I say it is because I want to check out. I've seen like the first 5 years a couple times because those were always repeated on Comedy Central, and they've been available. But the years that haven't have been the Eddie Murphy years, the years that that I almost said Phil Hartman. What's his face? You just said his name. The head of
Lorne Michaels.
Lorne Michaels wasn't there. And the only things from the Eddie Murphy Pescapo era that I've seen have been only the things that have been allowed on the greatest hits stuff. So I've not seen all the other stuff.
The Gumby Christmas special.
Yeah, I've seen some of the Gumby stuff. I've seen, Mr. Robinson. I've seen the clips, but I have not seen the proper shows.
Yeah.
What I vaguely remember from fuzzy TV memories from a kid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, let's do a couple more before we get into
it's the Keanu Reeves news is true.
Interesting.
Right.
What about
he's been offered. It's not signed yet, but Keanu Reeves could play Kraven the Hunter in a solo film, and I guess probably also he would appear then in Spider-Man 3.
Interesting.
Spider-Man 3 is going to be insane, guys.
Yeah, it's going to be
insane because they have every villain coming back now.
Yeah.
Oh, and plus we're adding Keanu Reeves as Kraven. It's like, what?
I thought for sure they would try to get a black actor as Kraven. I thought, and then make him from Wakanda.
No, that's going to be like too much, right? If you have like this hunter that's like too close to the animals and stuff like that. I mean, they barely got away with like black men dressed up as gorillas and stuff like that in the first Black Panther, but like a Black Kraven, I don't know.
I think that'd be a step too far. Yeah,
that might be a step too far, I think. But still, on that note, Andy, do you know anything about like the future working relationship between Marvel and Sony and how tight they are together now? Because the relationship seems better than it has ever been.
Yeah, because I've heard that I heard Rothman was like, make it work, make it happen. I don't know. What you heard?
I was
a Sony Spider-Man deal with Marvel.
Like that the relationship between Sony.
Because I'm texting. So is he in that too? Apologies. Yeah, because I'm confused. Because Kraven is supposed to be in Spider-Man 3, and if Keanu Reeves is Kraven in a solo, he's so busy. I'm shocked he did it. But that would mean he's going to appear in other things unless they do a multiverse version.
Right.
And anyway, as for Sony and Marvel, how they did it all, I mean, no, I wasn't there, so take it as a quote. But no, I mean, it seems clear that I mean, I can tell you what I know so far. Do you want me to start there?
Please. Yeah, sure, go for it.
For potential Spider-Man spoilers, mute, and then I can flash afterwards. But Tobey Maguire is coming back. Andrew Garfield, they're both coming back for Spider-Man 3 for the big finale. They're going to, again, the other thing to sort of be prepared is I think people are sort of sensing it. It sure seems like WandaVision's going to end with a downfall. Something's going to happen to her that's going to trigger her to become either a villain and or open the multiverse. That will obviously be responded in several movies moving forward, including the Multiverse of Madness, hence why she's in that and why it's called that. But we're going to see it first in Spider-Man 3 where they open up the Spider-Verse. And it does pick up from where we're at. I don't want to spoil too much of what happens, but there's a lot of villains, a lot of new villains and returning villains all coming in as the Spider-Verse opens, prompting the finale where all the Spider-Men team up to take them out. But I'm also told that Toby's not just showing up for that. He's going to show up in Multiverse of Madness as well. And there's still rumors, again, this isn't confirmed, but rumors that they're all sort of building up to a live action official Spider-Verse movie that potentially Sam Raimi would do. So all of these things add up to like why, of course, Sony and Marvel want to be together and figure this out, because all of those pieces are way more exciting if the wheels are, aligned. If they're not, none of this would have worked as well, I think. And so there's potential for this to be amazing. It could all suck. Who knows? But I think fans are genuinely excited that this is like Feige and gets to come in. He gets to get Maguire in one of his movies and to do that, which Raimi's directing Multiverse. So that's even that. I was told that's how it all happened. They brought, when Scott Derrickson left, there was a lot of frustration about what the movie was supposed to be, a horror movie, a standalone, etc. And the more and more Feige learned about Flashpoint and everything else, he wanted that movie to be a massive multiverse movie. It's still going to have scary parts. It's still, Doctor Strange movie, but that was a bone of contention because Scott Derrick's like, I don't want to just do a sequel that just keeps throwing in cameos. Like, I'm not interested in that. And that's where the heads butted and he amicably parted ways. And they were like, well, you know what? Let's get Raimi because we want to make this multiverse. Hey, Raimi, want to bring back Toby and do it here? Is sort of how it all, and then that negotiated with Sony, and then Sony's, well, we want it first. Okay, we'll have them show up in Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, this has all been in the works and negotiating for a long time to make this crossover happen. So I don't know what the deals were. Obviously, the deal has to have been adjusted because apparently Tom Holland gets one more Marvel movie, and this is supposed to be the end of the Sony deal, but they clearly have one-upped it to get Toby show up, which no one knows, they don't want to confirm and mention what the reports are because clearly they've made a second deal, which I don't know the specifics of. But all that said, I mean, it makes sense, right, that Sony would want to be in the deal because Feige gets to do a big crossover. He gets to bring in Toby. He gets to be part of the Spider-Verse, which I think is a brilliant way. That way, if Marvel wants to tap out, at least Feige and set up like, all right, like we set up the multiverse with them. Now we can jump in and out whenever we want to. And if they decide to do their own movies separately from us, we can say they're in a different universe. It doesn't really have to affect ours. I think it was a smart, creative move to justify what all the parties want and bring it back in to sort of give them pieces that they both really want. Because look, when they work together, they both make tons of money. So I think they both are getting something out of it. The fans are going to lose their mind. And I'm excited. So why are they doing it? I think that it's always money. And I think Holland and others have sort of gotten Sony to be like, no, come on, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And if I'm Sony, I would rather start the multiverse with them and then make my own Spider-Verse movie, introduce Miles Morales and all that stuff on my own terms with the help of Marvel's lifting to then launch whatever I need to without having to give Marvel money every time I do a movie. You know what I mean? Which is how sort of the deal works. But that's sort of a broad, long answer for you of sort of what I know so far.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool.
Oh, you had to bring up Miles Morales, didn't you?
Yeah, no, because to me,
I hate that little douchebag. I really do.
Yeah, we know Rob's feelings on Miles Morales, but that aside, no, because to me it looks like there must be some kind of like second deal in place there, because just looking from the outside and some of the stuff I've heard, like the relationship between Sony and Marvel appears to be much warmer and more friendly, if not friendly, then certainly that they both understand how mutually beneficial it can be for them, and they seem more determined that let's make this work than they've ever been before. It's the impression that I get from what I'm hearing and also what I'm seeing from the outside. Also, we had a question from Latino Slant who wonders about Molina returning as Dr.
As far as we know.
Yeah,
you heard about this?
Yeah, they're bringing back Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe. They're bringing back Doc Ock, Molina. They're bringing back Electro, Jamie Foxx. I'm told it's all their versions. I know it's Electro from Spider-Man 2. I don't know how yet. I'm still trying to, because that's the one thing I know a lot of what's happening in a lot of the movie, but I still haven't. That no one's giving me well, how does it open and why and where are they coming from? So I don't know, but I know all those villains are coming back. I was told Kraven's in it. Basically they're trying to get everybody. Sandman, they for that finale, the goal is to like just have everybody out there with the three Spider-Men tackling their own villains and each other's villains, sort of help as Doctor Strange sort of helps you bring them in to sort of win the fight at the end. Which I'll be honest, as a nerd, like, yeah, I want to watch that. I totally want to watch that.
Well, can I posit an idea of how this maybe happened, Andre? And this is going off of our reporting, stuff I've heard, and just what we know now. I think what happened was the initial deal, like we knew, was the two movies, and then, they opened it up again for the other two movies that we heard about or whatever, the other deal. And I think Amy Pascal was probably one of the people who was in between a lot of this. I think she was pushing real hard not to keep a deal going with Marvel. And I think Tom Rothman was like, no, fuck that. We got to make this work, because I think that was the one time where his not wanting to deal with it was beneficial to the fans. Because I seen another interview with him not too long ago. It's a fairly newer one. And as we know, the famous story goes, he's been, told several times over about how great these superhero movies are for the studios, and he just doesn't want to hear it. Right. His attitude ain't fucking changed, Andre. In fact, because he laughed off this whole thing about superheroes again, because he like even got offended that somebody compared a superhero movie to some classic film, and he got all pissy with him in this interview. And so, like, to me, that tells me he just don't want to deal with it. So he's like, make the deal with Marvel, let them deal with it, let them make it. That way I don't have to deal with it. And I think, you know, Amy was probably the one who was resistant because she wanted to do her own thing. And she felt like she was, you know, the one to take care of all this stuff and usher it in, and the between the Spider-Verse and all the separate adjacent movies that she wanted to make. And he's like, no, we're going to do this. Because, I mean, part of the reason we know from our reporting and stuff like that they had the kind of oddball version of all these characters is that Sony wouldn't allow them to use the other versions, right? Well, now all of a sudden we're getting all the old versions back in. So I think Feige was kind of caught in this situation where, like, okay, I couldn't use them originally, but now I'm stuck with these other characters. But now how do I bring the versions that people like in? Well, the multiverse, clearly. So I think that's kind of what happened. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm again just speculating on a lot of things, but I feel like that's kind of where we got to, and that goes along with what you were saying, Andy, to where they're like, okay, now that we have this opportunity to open these doors open wide, you know, what are we going to do? We can't, you know, not do it. It makes total sense. And that's what I told Andre way back when we heard Sam Raimi's on board. I'm like, why would you bring Sam Raimi on just to do a Doctor Strange movie? There's something else to this. Yeah, he's a Doctor Strange fan, but come on, that's almost like him kind of like slumming in a way, you know? So I said, there's got to be a bigger reason they're bringing Raimi on board.
Yeah, no, I think it was all part of that conversation. Again, I'm speculating now, but totally. Like, Sam Raimi hasn't really done a lot, and I think he wants a nice new big thing and redemption, because remember, they pulled Spider-Man 4 from him, and they didn't get to do it. And so I think this is sort of a way. I think Feige's involvement probably helped Raimi come on board back with Sony, you know, because they didn't have the best relationship with him over in Sony, and so that was I'm told that was instrumental in how Maguire came back.
That's kind of what I was thinking too.
And so Feige sort of under the control of it is smart, right? He's so good at what he's doing because he's got the play now, he's got the power. And so who doesn't want to work in Marvel? Every Academy Award winning actor is like, can I do a Marvel? Yeah. What do you need me for? And so, you know, there's rumors of Pacino coming in as Mephisto and stuff. That's speculation. But my point is, like, anything is possible there. So if he wants to make it happen, that's how he makes it happen. And I think good on him. Bringing Raimi in was because I was sad when Derrickson left. I was like, oh, that's going to be a bummer. It sounded like a cool horror comic book movie. I was like, and then they said Raimi, and I was like, Derrickson who?
Right. Andre's nice. That's the same thing.
Funny, yeah. Because we had the exact same thing here. We were like, me and Tom, and I don't know what Rob, but certainly me and Tom, we were like, Scott Derrickson left. Okay, that's it. We're out. Doesn't matter. Who the hell can they get in that's possibly going to be half as good, let alone even come close to how good Scott Derrickson was for Doctor Strange and could be for a more horrific sequel? Sam Raimi? Oh, okay. That's who. Okay, I'm getting her excited again here.
Right. And then
that was
even Scott Derrickson can't like shit on it, because it's like, what are you gonna do? Shit on Sam Raimi? Good luck, dude. He's Evil Dead, like, as a horror guy. You can't knock on him. If he's coming in to take over, it's sort of like, all right, well, I guess I gotta be nice about it all. Do you guys know about Raimi's fourth Spider-Man? There was one thing about it. I don't know if the fans know, but he was supposed to do four, and he was gonna have Bruce Campbell play Mysterio. Which,
yes, we have a documentary on it, actually.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was like, oh my god, that would have been so amazing if they had to replay all the cameos. So you guys know the history. Yeah, it's like Raimi clearly, I think this is a chance for him to sort of come back with a big swing. And I suspect, again, I don't know if it's confirmed because of Raimi's involved. It says the Spider-Verse movie would be at Sony, and will Raimi want to get back with them? Are they going to be able to make him happy again and sort of all is forgiven? We'll see. But
and I think that's the important part of new people being involved. As Andre and I always point out, is the most important thing, you know, when asking these kind of questions about what's going on with one of these projects is, are the same people still there that caused the issues to begin with?
Sure.
And in this case, most of them are gone. And Tom Rothman, bless him, I've said this a few times now, and Andre and Rob can attest to that. He may have been one of the worst guys to ever happen to Hollywood for many years, but he's one of the best things to ever happen to Sony, because Sony has come leaps and bounds from where they were years ago. And a lot of it is just Rothman's, you know, cutting where costs needed to be done.
Yeah,
and picking the smaller pictures, not concentrating on the big,
He knows the business of movies. He just doesn't know anything about making movies. That's the thing.
Well, actually, that he does know making movies, but he only knows making artsy-fartsy movies.
That's my thing,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he can make a lot of movies that are decent films that make a lot of money and they're made on the cheap. And now when it comes to franchising shit, that's not a good thing. So like Men in Black suffered. Some of the other franchises under
everything genre that's ever been under him has suffered, unless he's got someone to offer resistance.
I was just going to say, but he's gotten smart. Ghostbusters is being completely overseen by Ivan Reitman and his son and shit like that. He's not getting involved there. Spider-Man, he's like, fuck it, I'll let Disney deal with that. Marvel, or should say.
He's smart enough to know. I think he's smart enough to realize now, at least, that when it comes to listen, I may not like it, but you know what? These things make gobs of money. So let me find people who know what they're doing.
Exactly. I don't think he cares enough, and he knows that it's better if he just stays the hell away. I think he got wise. I really do.
Well, as long as he is able to read numbers, you'd think that he would be able to read numbers to see, okay, here's the movies that I have done that had to do with the superheroes and comics. They all stunk, and none of them earned any money. And here's what Marvel have been doing, the most successful studio in Hollywood history. Maybe I should let them handle this. Yeah. I think that your theory may have merit. Do you think there's something to Tom's speculation, Andy?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I think it's working, right? It's finally working, and Tom Holland is working for fans. I know not everybody loves him as a Spider Boy, as somebody said, and I know others. I think he's still. People want a old Spider-Man finally. I think we've seen a lot of kid Spider-Man, and I see that complaint. I hear it. I thought part 2 was kind of silly. I didn't need them to go on a trip in France and have him stupidly give his glasses away to the first. It's like there was a bunch of stupidity that he's done, but I really liked him in Civil War. I liked him in Homecoming, and I think he could get there. But that said, it's working for the most part, and I think smart to keep in business with Marvel. Let Feige do it. The problem is just the money, because they have to share it. They have to share then the profits with them, and studios don't usually want to do that. That's ultimately, I think, why the deal stopped in the first place, until Holland drunkenly called Bob Iger apparently to sort of help try and get it back, the talk back. But yeah, I mean, I think again, like I said, there's a path here to something great for both studios and the fans. And so if Sony and Marvel can get through that, whoever's behind that, I applaud, because they should. That's what the fans want.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of saw their bullshit and saw what they were up to. Because I know we did a couple videos on that very subject. It's like, this is what Sony's up to, folks, or at least Amy Pascal. She wants enough of the attention to say, look, these are Marvel movies. And then when she pulls it from the MCU, she's going to skate off the idea that people will think these are Marvel movies still when they're not. I mean, that was the big thing that she was trying to do. I really do think that was her plan. And I mean, a lot of people are like, okay, give her credit for Spider-Verse. Yeah, Spider-Verse didn't do that great in the box office, though. It won the award for Best Animated Feature, but it didn't do nearly as great as people think it did. It did well on video, but I'm not a fan of the film. Me and Rob are one of the few people on the internet that didn't like it.
I love it. But
Andre loves it. I mean, I know probably most of the people in the chat love it. But I'm more on board with a live action one with Tobey Maguire and stuff like that. Has me more interested. So
I mean, and the idea of finally like an older, mature Spider-Man coming back, dude. Yes, sign me up. I'm hoping it's good.
Yeah, fingers crossed for that.
It's also funny. Like, I don't think anyone. I mean, I'm sure some do, but no one's talking to Andrew Garfield. So good for him for coming back too, though. I mean, it's like, why?
Honestly, I can't stand him. So I hate his Spider-Man. So I'm like, I hope that his role is a small one, because what has me interested is this is just my opinion. And if you like Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man, then by all means, don't let me detract from it. But me, I hope that like the old mentor Spider-Man is going to be Tobey Maguire, because I was never ever, not even once, able to buy Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I liked his costume in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but that's it.
You know, like skateboarding to Coldplay and being the hot guy and
no. Even Kevin Smith made fun of that Spider-Man. You know something's wrong when Kevin Smith is made fun of.
It was Spider Poochie.
He's like, he's on the phone more than I am.
He was Spider Poochie.
I still think it's nice they brought him back. It's like, all right, fine, get him. Let's get them both in there. I want to see the trio out of respect. Let them be their own things. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I agree. Toby better be up front and center. And I've heard so he's gonna be.
You heard that he's going to be?
Yeah, I mean he's in Multiverse of Madness. I haven't heard Garfield is. So I think that's
okay.
Yeah, I'm considering because see that's the thing. That's the thing I was just saying before. We've got people who are still around who probably still are a little butthurt by the whole Andrew Garfield thing.
Yeah,
we're very far removed from the Raimi situation. So
you see, the whole thing with a lot of people about Andrew Garfield. Oh, Andrew Garfield. A lot of people, and this is just my opinion now. Spider-Man and Peter Parker are not supposed to be the same person in and out of costume. And I think that's what the thing is. I mean, the people who say, "Oh, Tobey Maguire was such a terrible Spider-Man. He was a terrible like," and they said about how he seemed awkward and especially in Spider-Man 3 with that cringe fest of a dance he was doing. I'm like, yeah, there's a reason why. It's because he's Peter Parker. He's not supposed to be the same guy. Peter Parker is not a badass. No, he's a nerdy kid. And when he puts on the costume, he has confidence. He has more confidence because he gets to be the person he always imagined himself to be. That's the whole point of the character. And it just seems like the Amazing Spider-Man blurred those lines, like that where this personality wasn't that far removed when he was in or out of costume. I think that's where a lot of people miss the point.
I mean, I can take or leave Garfield himself in the character. It was just the movies were. I mean, the first movie wasn't as bad, but the second movie is just such trash that. Yeah. And then Willie says with a $2 super chat, thank you, Willie Woodward. To be honest, I'm more down for a good Sinister Six film. You'll probably get your wish on that. And he says, he adds in, what if no Green Goblin but Dafoe as Osborn? I doubt that's the case. They wouldn't bring him back. And plus, when it's easier to put him in the costume because then you can hide the CGI.
He's going to be in the costume.
Yeah. I don't see why you wouldn't.
Hopefully a better costume than he had in the Raimi movie.
So hopefully,
from what I've gathered, there's still going to be enough movie that they could sell this movie and marketing and everything and not confirm any of this until hopefully we're in theaters at the end of the year. We'll see.
Oh God, yeah.
This is a theater movie that without a doubt. And I hope. And I hate that. I hate becoming a spoiler scooper guy just because I do want to enjoy it. But if I don't do it, the trades will do it. And I want if I have the access to do it. But I hope they don't confirm it until we're in the theaters because they shouldn't. There's no need to. Don't make us all seem wrong. And then when we're sitting in the theater and that Spider-Man swing out, woo, we're gonna have that awesome moment, no matter if we heard about it or not. Because until you see it, you don't believe it anyway. So I hope they just keep a lot of this secret. I know it's hard for them to. Everything's leaking and people Andrew Garfield was caught on set in Atlanta, etc. But there's until we see it on the screen, to me, I still don't buy it, even though I know it's happening. I'm still like, I need to see how they're going to do it and why. So I hope they keep some of those surprises for us still.
And then Mills just feels obligated to remind us that Kurtzman wrote Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, we're well aware of that.
Just in case you forgot.
Magic blood. There you go. More magic blood.
And shit shooting in the sky. And
I did like the Sopranos like ending of the Amazing Spider-Man 2 though.
That's because you created some shit in your mind.
No, but it's there. Like he gets skewered and killed by the Rhino half a second after
that's
the
what you
movie
say.
fades to black.
Because that's in your dream world, Andre.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
reality.
It's a beautiful dream. Everyone should have it.
I have beaten you, man spider. Ha ha ha. So there.
I would love to partake in that dream, but until I see it on film, I can't believe it happened. That's my only problem. But I think we should jump into the Edward Scissorhands talk because I know we don't have Andy for too much longer.
Yes. Oh crap, we didn't even get there. That's
I know. There was this Cadillac commercial that was kind of a corny take up on what a sequel to Edward Scissorhands could be, but there was a glaring omission in the entire commercial that I think a lot of people noticed. And even Cadillac's been taken a little bit to task. If you go look at their Twitter, there's a whole lot of hashtags justice for Johnny. So, I think the elephant in the room has been called out here. no Johnny in the ad, which is fine. Nobody could fault Cadillac for not being able to get the Johnny Depp. But when you don't even have like a picture of him or a callback to him of any kind, and he's like completely and utterly ignored, like he never even existed, kind of fucked up. I almost honestly want to call out, and I hate saying this, but I almost want to call out Winona Ryder. But like, how did you have the gall to do this without him? Because you were one of the people in his corner.
I can answer some of that.
Go ahead, Andy. Let's hear it.
Well, she did ask Tim Burton, so there's that, which made me feel slightly better. So part of me wonders if she did ask Johnny and just didn't publicly. The PR release didn't say it. When I did my report, I sort of gave her the pass, and I hope she did, because you'd think she would. She just gave testimony for his case, maybe she did privately. Like, are you cool with this? The other thing which I didn't know when I did the piece, which I did a whole report on it, and I got quotes from everybody. But the thing I didn't know also is that Timothée Chalamet used to date Johnny's daughter, which makes it a whole other level of weird. Lily Rose Depp used to date him, but not anymore. So one would hope he would have asked. He would have checked in and asked, is this cool? But since they're broken up, who knows? Maybe this is hey, we're not together, but I can see I'm your dad. I can play your dad and move. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be awkward.
There's a lot of weird stuff to it that I don't know. I mean, the only person who mentioned Johnny Depp, to his credit, was Timothée Chalamet. If you look at all the interviews and quotes, Timothée Chalamet said this is a total homage to Johnny Depp. Winona didn't. Tim Burton didn't. Cadillac didn't mention him once in their pieces. So yeah, I mean, I think it's lame. Tim Burton created that character, but Johnny Depp absolutely so much was created because of him. So to just do this and then disregard the ending of the movie where he's not dead and they didn't have a kid and she does grow old, Kim, the character, grows old and wonders what happened, to completely rewrite it for the Cadillac, which I didn't even mind the concept of the ad. I can separate it. Yeah. It's all right, it's a cute little throwback commercial, hands free. Edward Scissorhands couldn't touch it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's hard to enjoy it when you're knowing what Johnny Depp's going. And I don't know if I'm total team justice for Johnny Depp, because I've gone deep into that research to really figure out, and there's no evidence of him. I got to be careful the words I use. Right. There's no evidence of the things that he's been accused of. There isn't. And there's the opposite of AH, as we call her, the other person. There's lots of evidence according that she did it to him. And so, if you really go and look what he was, I'm just team Johnny. So clearly Cadillac didn't want to get involved and pick a side in it. And so that's ultimately what happened. And that's why a lot of people are getting frustrated.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this statement from them here that they responded to somebody's tweet thanking them for remembering Johnny Depp, which is odd because I've seen a lot of people saying that. It's but he wasn't anywhere in the trailer, not even a nod to him in any way. And then their comeback was Johnny Depp was not involved in this ad in any way. The ad's focus was to tell the continued story of Edward Scissorhands and raise awareness of both Lyric Cadillac's first all-electric.
Anyway, what Cadillac idiots? Just don't. If you're gonna do it, don't ignore it. Just ignore it. But now that is so much worse, and even proves they're he's not involved in any way. We're disassociating with him. Well, then don't do Edward Scissorhands, because that's Johnny Depp. Sorry, Cadillac, you idiots! Don't pick a topic by a character that you don't want to be associated with, because it's him no matter what you try and do about it.
Right.
Well, actually, you know what? GM, parent company of Cadillac, they do have the first woman CEO, so they probably had. So that probably came from her. Make sure you remind people Johnny Depp has nothing to do with this.
Might be an Amber fan. Well, the other conspiracy theory I also realized is Cadillac, GM rather, is represented by UTA. So UTA is a talent agency, as is Timothée Chalamet. So this was a total package deal where everybody got more money. UTA got even more money by packaging one of their brands with one of their talents. And that's always how it works in Hollywood. And what's funny is that's where Johnny Depp was until he fired them after the whole tax problem where they were stealing money from him and no one could caught it. Dude lost hundreds of millions of dollars. That's one of the reasons why he was angry in one of the videos that was illegally taped, was because he came home from his account and learned he lost $750 million. And that was then used out of context. But the reality is UTA clearly was see ya, middle finger. It just felt like a lot of subtle shots there it was hard to like the commercial for me because it just felt right. I mean, why would you make Edward Scissorhands without acknowledging him? I don't see it in some small way, or exactly at a hilltop, and you see a character there in the top, and you just like at least allude to his character is still alive without saying Johnny Depp. There were a million ways you could have done it respectfully, and they chose not to do it.
Right, because like you kind of said it at the...
Yeah, I'll raise it one more. There were a million other characters they could have used.
Right. Well, I was just
step out of that entirely.
Well, I was just going to say, like, yeah, that's my problem with this. Is like, look, you know, like Andy kind of just said a little bit ago, this was just a lark. It was just a goof. I get that, and I can overlook, you know, like any, you know, changing of the story because it's not like it's a true sequel. It's just to have fun with it, right? But the point is just how they just totally ignored Johnny in every way, shape, or form. Like you just said, Andre, they could have done a million other things to show Edward was still around or pay homage to him in some way. But then to just totally ignore him, or just don't do Edward Scissorhands, do something else. There's probably a million other things you could have done that are not like that you could have just avoided this entire thing.
Well, and this tweet, I might even do a whole nother video thanks to this tweet, because screw you, Cadillac. Why would you, like, the tweet is saying, thank you for remembering Johnny in the difficult times, yada, yada. Just let it go. Like, just let the fan be happy. And instead, Cadillac's going to come SJW out and be like, no, we do not involve Johnny in this. Yes, you did. You made an Edward Scissorhands movie. Therefore, you did involve Johnny, whether you wanted to or not. But for this, oh my God, the ignorance in this tweet is so idiotic to me. What? It's just not a loss that they would make such a stupid statement, and not because they want to be on the side of, you know, Johnny Depp's guilty. And the reality is he's not. He was called, you know, he sued a newspaper for slander and lost that case. That's not actually, he wasn't actually accused of the things that the newspaper headline said is what the problem is. But the media and everybody, you know, in the world just wants to say, well, no, he must be guilty. And the reality is he's not yet. And I do think he's going to win the appeal, at least get the appeal. Fingers crossed. But it's entirely frustrating to see this response.
Well, like I said, you know, this probably came from Mary Barra, CEO, GM. And Mary Barra, I have my issues with her because she canceled UAW's health insurance as leverage to try to get them back to work, to accept the new collective bargaining deal. And there were people actually, you know, there was a whole. This feeds into the whole thing of like certain quote unquote Access Media journalists going after Ford versus Ferrari, saying, "Oh, the old boys network of the car industry needs to go away." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like the new, we need new female blood in the car industry. Oh yeah, like the ones who cancel health insurance for families, yeah, for striking families, like that one, yeah, okay, all right, we see where that's going." But anyway, this definitely smacks of coming from a place higher than just their social media people.
Oh yeah,
definitely. But like I said, you're invoking Johnny Depp by extension. Exactly, I mean, there's no other person you can associate Edward Scissorhands with. You know, there's that famous bit from Seinfeld. "Oh, I was just telling Uncle Enzo about the Edward Scissorhand. It's my favorite movie. That Johnny Depp. Oh, let me tell you." You know, I mean, just it. I don't want to say it's not a cultural icon, but it is mostly closely associated with Johnny Depp.
It's iconic enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed. While we're on the topic of GM, because I think we've said everything that there is to say about Johnny Depp, did you see the other GM spot involving Will Ferrell taking on Norway?
Oh, that goofy ass thing, which was actually voted the best ad by some people, but it was a very interesting ad.
That was part of a TV series, right? He married a Norwegian woman and lived there or something like that, or
no? That's not Will Ferrell. Well, then it's something that I'm not familiar with. That was actually the guy from Sopranos, where he made a spin-off, which is kind of like implying to be his character from The Sopranos, and then he goes into witness protection and he hides in Lillehammer, Norway, for 3 seasons there. So that's like that, but that has nothing to do with this Will Ferrell thing, which is basically him just calling out Norway for us buying more new electrical cars per capita than the States. And the moral was, States, you need to do better. Now with the economy crashed and everyone being broke, get more electrical cars. Oh yeah, keep going.
Just also quick update, because I was so fascinated with this. Cadillac deleted that tweet because they knew. when you get that much hate, they decided, oh, I guess we didn't mean to do that. We didn't realize. So they've now wised up and have stopped commenting on it, which is what they. Hello, fans watching. Don't engage. Just if you're going to make a decision like that, you don't enjoy. You know, so maybe the social media person actually didn't know. And that could be part of the problem too.
Then that social media person probably shouldn't be a social media person.
Correct. Well, there probably isn't anymore after that.
Yeah, probably not after that. Because like I wouldn't say this is as bad as the Gillette deal, but that's where all the push. Like that's the only reason I heard about this. Like I did not even know about the damn thing until somebody was telling me about Johnny Depp's not even in it, and he's not even talked about, not mentioned, nothing. And I'm like, you're kidding. And a couple I've seen it online, and I'm like, whoa. And I like checked it out, and I'm like, well, that's bad. Because the ad isn't horrible. I mean, it's kind of funny or whatever, but just the absence of Johnny Depp in any way, shape, or form, or the original Edward in any way, is just
well. And bringing in Kim, the character of Kim, which they've said it is her. It's like that was more sort of just don't get Winona Ryder then. You know, cast somebody else and just do the reboot of Edward Scissorhands. But they chose to live in the world, rewrite the world without him. That I think that's what pissed me off.
Exactly. You could have done it many different ways, or done something completely different. I agree with Andre.
Especially knowing that like the dude who's playing Edward Scissorhands was banging his daughter, and he didn't like think to like maybe like, is this cool with him? Like, it puts a whole nother level of weird for me.
It does. Like, it actually puts a lot more questions to this than I had before, more than anything.
It certainly puts a question to what kind of a guy Chalamet really is. Like, he's a really good actor, but
he's out there calling out Armie Hammer, which I'm not even trying to either. But it's just fascinating because he's trying to keep his keep it all clean, but then goes and does something like this. Where you're just like, why even risk? What you'd think because his agency wanted to make money. That's really what I think it was. UTA reps him and the money, and all money talks. But I bet you Timothy's a little bit like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I should have picked a side.
Well, we really don't get involved in this kind of stuff normally on Midnight's Edge. And when it comes to this subject specifically, obviously the YouTube monsters are very sensitive to it. But I mean, clearly, like you said before, there's so much evidence piling up on, Miss Turd that is so much against, her narrative. And, clearly I think I can speak for pretty much everybody else here saying, we're Team Johnny, but to see what he's gone through and like, this is just another thing to kind of add to the pile. And and this is what I was bringing up before, Andy, and this firsthand, the bad news, or the lie, I should say, spreads a lot faster than the truth, and the truth never gets to permeate nearly as well as the lie does. And so you have an entire nation of people that are believing the lie about Miss Turd and believing it.
It also, and I'm sure some of you even may have saw it in the chat, but it just gives ammo to like spread nonsense out forever. Johnny, me, anybody who's ever been falsely claimed, it'll just always be used when someone doesn't have an argument to just try to kick one down. It's a never the cancellation of there's no cancel culture. It's just shut up. Yes, there is. The more the toll that takes mentally, everything. There's so much more to it that I don't think people get. And that's why the mob mentality of the, which I do call it out a lot. I do Hollywood news and call out the pop culture outrage of the world. Because I know it. I lived it. But it does have a toll on people. And I think people need to understand and do try to speak up when you can, even just social media. I try to be the opposition of just like, hey, do we have both sides here? Like, like Marilyn Manson is another one, not to get into it, but it's like, do we have all the information here? Like I'm not going to cancel Marilyn Manson until I know more. And a lot of people are trying to compare him to Johnny Depp. But the whole point is like, well, there's no evidence to Johnny Depp.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Exactly.
I don't think that's a good idea at all.
Johnny Depp, like, I don't know why you're comparing the two. Just in both instances, we're looking to like, what's the case? So we can make up our decision about each person. And that's the reality. So it's like, a lot of people just lump it. Oh, you're probably defending this person. No, I defend due process and facts and evidence and hearing everyone's side and making sure we make the right proper decision. And I think that's what we got to do more of as a society instead of just rushing to judge, condemn, destroy. Mob says to me, tells me to do this. Zack Snyder tells me to do this. Kathleen Kennedy tells me to do this. Whoever it is, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like enough. Mm-hmm. We got to get out of that mob mentality thing.
Yeah, and I think one thing we really didn't get into on that show that I was on with you on your channel that I think should have been pointed out was the difference between I mean, we did talk a little bit about it, but we didn't really get to hit it hard on the head. And that was the difference really between cancel culture itself and just somebody simply being fired for doing something stupid that would normally get them fired. Like there's two completely different things.
Absolutely.
And cancel culture is something that I'm adamantly against. I mean, if you're stupid and you're supposed to do a job and you fuck up, then you get fired. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing to say that okay, so fine. You worked in Hollywood and you were supposed to do this and you didn't do your job right. And now you got to flip burgers. Well, that sucks for you. You should have done your job, huh? I guess say booyah next time. But, was that a little too on the nose?
No, I loved it. It's me a lot of shit though, but I was the only one out there. But not to make it but that example of that booyah guy, he's the perfect example of like I was on his side. I heard it and I'm like, well, if you're coming out with this kind of nuclear like accusation, like you must have something. So I was like, damn, and I was ready to hear and listen. And then I watched. Now it's been almost half a year stretched out without ever dropping evidence. And to me, that triggers me because I'm like, whoa, you can't keep arming a mob of fans. And keep trying to destroy and discredit and remove people from positions and ask us to back you without giving us more evidence. You can't. No, I refuse to accept that. Am I wrong? Maybe something happened. I don't know. You haven't told me specifically what happened. So until you do, I'm going to fight you, Ray Fisher, because I need evidence. I've been there, and I refuse to accept that group thing. No matter how whatever movie or filmmaker is part of you, it doesn't matter. We have to be better, I think, as human beings to just respect, listen, but not rush to condemn and bully. You know what I mean?
And I'm not even sure he's sure anymore.
I know.
No, dude, have you seen some of his latest tweets?
Well, I've gone in the weeds. I don't do it here, but it's
yeah.
In the beginning, it was abusive, and then it became racist, and then months later, it became racist, and it was like, what is it? Like, why does it keep shifting? And that's why he's not telling us, because it's like he's trying to figure it out as he goes along. It feels like it's hearsay of other people who've complained, and it's like a lot of people have come to me and like, Andy, I thought you were being a dick in the beginning, but the more I've seen this, like you were right. I made me rethink. And if that's all I get out of it, a few people stop judging people right away, then I feel like it was all worth it, no matter how much hate I get from it. But we gotta be more careful, right? As a society, we can't just keep rushing because a celebrity tells us to. At the same time, I wanted to echo we do also have to listen, and a lot of us have to take accountability. Yes. Like in my case, a lot of people don't know this. I did take accountability for mistakes I did. I probably should have been fired from my job. I was flirting with my fan base. Weirdly, a lot of people disagree with me, but I can see why I lost my job. But people don't understand how much more I lost. It wasn't just losing my job. There were so many ways that that company could have exited me in a better way. And that's why we settled and a lot of stuff happened. But the reality is like, yeah, of course I take accountability for some of the mistakes I made, but to the level that my colleagues and everyone in that company shined the spotlight about what I did and was all false and it was all misled and it was all wrong. And yeah, I flirted with some fans. I was a douchebag who cheated on my wife. Those are things I'm not proud of. I've changed since then. I've learned a lot, but it's like, that's not how I'm defined by the internet because of headlines that refuse to change. And a lot of misinformation that was shared. That's why cancel culture absolutely does exist. If you don't have a support system around you and you are a nobody on Twitter and you're getting that kind of hate from a mob, you really will check out. And I don't wish that on anybody. We got to be better as people.
Well, and I've seen it in several levels, not just in levels of people who are famous. I mean, I've heard there's a week that goes by that I don't run across a story about a teacher, a mailman, whatever, just a regular Joe who lost their job because they said something stupid on Facebook or Twitter. I mean, it happens. And not only do they lose their job, they get an attack mob that goes after them endlessly. Now, I'm not saying that some things that people say or do don't, need some kind of accountability. Like you just said, Andy, you took accountability for, the things that you did wrong. But at the same time, you also had a lot of shit that was put out there that wasn't true. And I see a lot of the similar things here with the Johnny Depp situation. We've had the claims put out there, but yet we've seen nothing but evidence going the other way. In fact, we've even had Miss Turd herself saying, nobody's going to believe you, Johnny. Like though in those specific words. And I mean, it's just like,
and the horror is that she was right. Even in the court, confronted with the evidence, the judge basically decided that, you were stunning and brave, so I'm going to side with you, and the evidence be ignored.
And so, I mean, but it's important because I want people to know who aren't following the case. Like, not only that, like he based a lot of his verdict on the fact that, well, look, she's not a gold digger because she gave to charity. And the reality is she never gave to charity. She literally lied about giving money to children's charity. Like she got in a big fight with Johnny because he was giving the money to the charity in sums. And she said, no, then he's going to get the tax write-off. No, he'll get the credit. And so then she got the money. They paid her off millions and millions of dollars that was supposed to go to charity. And then she wasn't sued, nothing. She had the money in her bank account for like a year and never gave the payout. And then said she did all over the media, got all the credit for it, etc., and never gave the freaking money. Like, that is despicable to me. Like, who is more despicable than that, than not giving the money to children's hospitals when you said you were gonna, and then blaming your ex? Well, he's gonna get all the credit. Okay. And then doesn't even do it. And then he uses it in a court battle, which then the judge says, well, look, she's so generous. She did all the Like, it's so infuriating to me.
The worst kind of fake. And not only that, she reminds me a lot of, and I don't want to, say all young people are like this, because I know there's a lot of very intelligent young people in our chat, and I interact with a lot of young people who are very intelligent. But there's also a section of them that we refer to very often that are a big part of this cancel culture. And a lot of them don't realize that the world existed before them. And we know Johnny Depp. We have seen him in the public eye for almost 40 some years now. And for us to try and believe what she was, I can't believe people would actually believe what she was touting, because we've never heard, seen, or anything like that ever before. In fact, you had almost every single one of his exes come to his defense, which is what we were getting at to begin with, including Winona Ryder.
Exactly. How many of you would be confident of all your exes coming forward and being nice about you?
Exactly. A great question. Yeah. How many people that aren't famous do you think that you would want your exes to come on your defense? Yeah, not many, probably. Not many. So, like, I mean, even in under the best of circumstances, that's not normally something people would want. I mean, and this guy, I've never heard a bad word about him. I mean, this is the kind of guy who, without any kind of cameras behind him or a big to-do about it, will sneak off of the set of Pirates of the Caribbean into a children's hospital to just surprise them, and then sneak back out and go back to work, or sneak into, out of nowhere into Disneyland and surprise people on the frickin' ride. He would do these kind of things all the time. And yeah, he had a drinking problem. Well, that was clear. He had drug problems in the past. That's very clear. He's never denied that shit.
That's what the judge used. And that's the frustrating time. Like, oh, well, he has drugs and he does alcohol, so he must have then hit her.
But he's never been a violent person. That's the thing. He's never had a violent history like that when it comes to his drinking and drugs like that.
And I want to ask the panel, and I guess, when you get high or you get drunk, does that mean you suddenly turn abusive? Is that like a thing we're supposed to assume? Oh, he drank and he did drugs, therefore he must have punched her too. Like, what is the jump in logic is so idiotic to me.
I hate when people use that excuse, because like someone that is fundamentally not a violent person, they're not going to become that if they're drunk or anything like that. No, the only thing that happens is that you lose inhibitions. So the ones that were going to be violent, well, they're violent persons anyway. And the ones that wouldn't be, well, they still won't be violent, even with their inhibitions reduced. So it's a completely ridiculous thing, that just blaming the alcohol like that.
Yeah. And if you hear the audio of Amber Turd, as we call her, like it's horrifying listening to her yell, mock him, and literally every tape she's like, "You always want to leave." It's like,
why do you think he wants to leave?
It's like the opposite of what you're accusing him for. Every tape, she said, you just leave when they're in the argument. You don't want to keep. It's like, I've been there. I've been in a toxic relationship in my life where it's like, yeah, sometimes you just want to walk out because it's going to be screaming and you're going to get hit or whatever the heck's going to happen. And here he is on tape, and it's admitted, and the judge is like, it's not relevant.
No, a lot of guys can listen to that tape, and they've dealt with that woman before.
Remember
no one's that hot.
Remember what Sam Kinison said that time? Sometimes you just want to jump out of the car, run down the street, screaming, "Oh God, I hate you! I just want to live." I mean, that's probably where Johnny was at the point.
No, and that's where I feel like at first there was this major landslide of guys. When they heard that shit, they're like, "Oh no, I know this woman. I've dealt with this shit. This is crazy to a T." And then not only that, her, all the other stuff we just set aside, you know, and not to go too deep into it, but because like our ladies of toxic femininity, which is on tonight at 9:00, have gotten into this stuff much better than I can. You know, it just, with her, you know, version of everything is just like, she's so just impulsively narcissistic, and the fact that she just thinks that everybody's going to believe her is just insane. But then you see as many people that do, it's just crazy. But anyway, like I said, I don't want to get too deep into it. We talked about it a lot on toxic femininity. But Andy, was there anything more you wanted to add into it or talk about?
I'm glad we could get to talk about it, because I not YouTube doesn't let us. It's so scary about it, and it's frustrating because when I can, I will, and I'm happy to, because look, yeah, it happens to men too. Women do lie. It doesn't mean we shouldn't just believe all men and ignore all women. That's not what that means. It just means we have to hear both sides out, right? And make sure we can make up our own information. And in the Johnny case, I think a lot of people are just sort of like, whatever. But no, that dude's taking a huge hit right now. Yeah. And I think it's unfair. And I think, everyone, I'm seeing it. Everyone's afraid to pick a side on it. They don't want to be caught up in the maybe it's all correct or wrong. And it's sad. That case was ridiculous. That judge took no evidence. It was a complete going through the what he's actually charged with, and the way he sort of figured out, he must have done it because he was drunk. It's maddening to see how rigged that whole system was for him. So I hope he gets his due. I'm going to keep reporting that. If you like it or any of this, hit me up on my channel, popcornplanet.com.
Well, and another thing I'm glad you brought up.
And I was going to say, I'm reporting, so I appreciate you, Tom, finally having a big platform, like, just to try and regain followers, because I can tell you how hard it is for any of these people. Like, there's a lot of shitheads who still just won't give you the time of day. And so as I've been rebuilding now for the past year and a half, just trying to get back out, doing what I love and getting the stuff. So I appreciate you following. I've seen a lot of nice comments. It's been fun here. Thank you guys for showing some love.
Absolutely.
Well, and yeah, I mean, go ahead, Andre. You were going to say something.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say absolutely. It's like there's always two sides to a story, and the first narrative that gets out there, if it's very emotional in nature, chances are there's more to it, and it might be worth looking into.
Well, I'd say there's actually more like three sides to every story. There's
multiple.
The two individuals involved usually, and then the truth. But as far as, I'm also glad you brought up Andy. And again, this is a suggestion I have for other people. I would not compare this case with the Marilyn Manson one.
No, they're not.
That's apples to oranges, and I wouldn't do that in any of these situations, regardless.
Most of them are unique, apples to oranges with unique circumstances.
Yes.
I'm glad it's sort of, because I want to sort of help decision, because it's not. But a lot of people are like, "Oh no, we have to defend Marilyn Manson." It's like, okay, let's make sure he's being heard. But there's a lot of stuff still coming out. Like, my first take of it was like, I don't believe it. And then I've sat and I've listened, like, she has been going to she's trying to get like an extension. And there's a lot of stuff. I've seen a lot of other guys and girls who've come forward with other claims about him. And I'm hearing it all, man. Everyone's got a chance to talk, and we want to gather our intel before. I'm not canceling him by any stretch of the imagination yet. But at the same time, like, it's a different case. Like,
I'm with you, Andy. At first I was like, I don't know. But then the more, and that's why it's important to hear more context and wait for evidence. Evidence is important. And if you can't get evidence, then at least get more people to either back up the claims or discredit the claims. That's what you need. And again, that's when it's still a gray area, but it's always best to kind of wait to pass any kind of judgment, and definitely not to compare.
Anybody who goes through this, that was my downfall. Like, I went offline and just was silent for a year and a half. And that didn't help me at all, because I was in a lawsuit. So I had a lawyer, this amazing female lawyer, who was like, "We're going to get him," and then things just took longer than expected. I was supposed to release my statement like a couple months later, and then I was told don't release it, and then we'll do it next year. And then I kept getting screwed over by my lawyer, and who was like, again, if I had said anything or denied things, anything I could say would be used against me in that case. And so it became a very complicated case for me, where I was just trying to get, the truth out there. And I made a point of once this is settled, I'm absolutely going to come out and share all the stuff. And so that was a big part of doing it all. But yeah, if you're out there, always speak the truth, always right away. And if you are abused or hurt, go to the police, file a report, because people won't believe you otherwise. Sadly, that's the world we currently live in. But tell people, get evidence as best you can, go do a kit, etc. All these things are important that I think the Me Too, there are goods in the Me Too. People are able to finally talk about it, but we have to make sure we don't let it go so far where we just believe anybody who says something about it. We have to make sure we support people and get the word out.
Well, I'll actually go as far as to say that it hasn't gone far enough to help bring to the table something that is probably even more of a untalked about thing, and that is male abuse. Mm-hmm. I mean, look at what happened to like Terry Crews and Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser basically had his career ended because he claimed, tried to let people know what he's dealt with, and they just like, no, shut up. You must have enjoyed it. That kind of crap that's thrown onto a guy whenever they do try to say, no, I think I was, sexually assaulted, or I know I was assaulted, or I was coerced into doing something that I didn't feel like I should be doing. Just because we're guys, we're automatically assumed, well, they're just going to enjoy it because it's sex. It's like that's a big unspoken thing that's never talked about. We hear plenty of times, we're always talking about the casting couch with women, and yes, the kids is another thing that is not talked about enough that needs to be brought more to the forefront, but at least it is a topic that has been brought up. But men being abused in Hollywood has never been talked about. And I guarantee you there's a lot of gay men that have been abused that have never spoken up as well. I mean, that's another thing that people don't think about. So like, there's still things that are not, and it's just because we're men. That's why we're not, yet we're the ones that are supposed to be told to shut up right now and take a back seat and not, but that's things like that bother me. It's like, no, we've kept more quiet for a lot longer about things and just took it because we know how shit is. And it's things like this that bother me the most. Cause like Terry Crews got railroaded like a motherfucker.
Well, I had a talk about this the other day, and of course YouTube demonetized and limited, so probably none of you saw it, but it was a great chat. We talked about like, was the Me Too movement a success or a failure? And I had two females who were survivors come on and share their stories, and we talked about Maryland and all that stuff. But it was interesting because when we were accusing Evan Rachel, a lot of people were accusing Evan Rachel Wood of, well, she was so young, and you know what, she was 18 or 19 or whatever it was, and yada yada yada. And the female on the panelist, she was like, yeah, but what if you were switched genders? Would you have cared if it was a man? And we all were like, I guess no, they don't, right? When a young kid is taken advantage of, they're not taken. Men can never be taken advantage of. So some older woman can't prey on a man. We would go high five each other, is what everyone says. But the reality is, it's true. Like, it's completely different, and we probably wouldn't care. Yeah. And then she was like, so why are we? She's an adult. At a certain point, we have to then move the age of adult, because at a certain point, they're not a kid anymore. They got to make their own mistakes, choices, etc. And it was just a fascinating, like, opened my eyes when you hear, and ears rather, to sort of have these thoughts of, we do total gender and everything. It's all screwed up, and we don't talk about it. So many people don't ever really learn or like figure out how do we walk through these minefields and help people. It's important topics.
One of the major ones, look at rape in jail, in prison. It's fucking made fun of.
Yep.
It's a joke. It's even a joke in some movies. Like, it's the main joke of the movie. I mean, come on. I mean, I love the movie 22 Jump Street, but I mean, that is a big joke in that one bit about the bad guy from the first movie of them being in prison. I mean, it's just joked about like it's no big deal. But I mean, that's the thing, is like nobody looks even at it like it's a problem. That's what bothers me. And it's especially when they talk about, white men have had just white privilege for so long and blah, 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 blah.
Well, and also don't forget, someone else mentioned that stream also, the fact that like, I bet you way more people than we realize in our chat were abused by their own family members. Like at some point when they were young. It happens so much more often than people want to talk about. And that messes you up. It messes you up. And we can't underestimate, like, everybody's got their own issue, their thing they've been going through, thing they couldn't afford therapy for. Again, why we need better communication and education versus condemnation and destroying. It's so frustrating in the world we currently live in, of we're all fighting instead of talking. And I'm glad. Anyway, it's a good conversation. As you just got a good super chat in and said the same thing I was just going to say.
Yeah, like we should probably grab it and then move on anyway. But yeah,
let's pivot.
Before the YouTube monsters come after us, Sister Harrow says, "Great to see you guys talk about these topics. Sexual assault is horrible, no matter the gender." Exactly, and that's kind of the point I was getting at. So, and Xanatos Felicitas brings up the movie Men Don't Tell. Judith Light, Peter Strauss. It's about an unpleasantness in a relationship. Yeah, there you go. So moving on from that, though. So like, yeah, I think it was kind of a deft move, or what is the word I'm looking for? Idiotic move, at least on the part of Cadillac to even remotely do this to begin with, and
it was quite tone deaf, and I'm very glad to see it blow up in their face. There's two more stuff. Speaking of blowing up in their face, did you notice that Robin Hood also had?
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute, because oh my God, speaking of tone deaf, yes, that was idiotic. To right after now, because I heard that they pulled this off at the last minute. Rob, I don't know if you know anything about this, or Andy or anything like that, but this was supposedly part of their "we gotta save our ass" campaign.
Instead, they should just change their name to Sheriff of Nottingham.
About how the
don't tell us the new name. Maybe people will use it.
The screw you.
The ad was so boring and didn't even help. Like, I don't why they. I feel like just having any ad, unless you're going to really address it and like talk about it and figure out a way to like try and like we got to re-earn your trust. We got to be honest. This was a complicated issue. We've addressed the term and we're giving money back. But whatever they needed some big moment to like go to Robinhood, blah blah blah. Our response to learn more. We're gonna it maybe would have been like an interesting attempt, but otherwise just shut up and let it die down. It was so tone deaf.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the entire app die down is what they need to do. And like, if anyone is still using it, then shame on them. They really shouldn't.
I haven't been paying much attention, but Rob or Andy, help me out here on this. So has there been any kind of talks of civil suits, or what's going on with this now?
Oh yeah,
no, go ahead, Andy. You probably
go ahead. I don't know as much, but I know they've filed suit against Robinhood.
Yeah, I've heard there's going to be a class action suit against Robinhood.
There should be.
Yeah.
There should be against them and their owners and their sponsors and everything. Like, seriously, they need to sue everyone there, because that's the stuff that they did. That belongs in the absolute worst of dictatorships on the planet. Like that kind of stuff shouldn't happen in a Western society.
The problem is, though, apparently the contract allows them to do it. Is where the rub is. Of like, it says they can they can do it whenever they want. The question is, should they have, and was it in the best interest of the customers? That's where I think this is all going to come. They're going to try and figure it out. But yeah, it's I saw some lawyer like go through it, and it does distinctly say we can pull and stop a trade at any point we want for any reason we need to. So that might save them in the court case. We'll see.
Yeah. Problem is that, but even asking for an agreement right like that should be illegal. That they even have that in their terms, because basically that's the equivalent of, okay, you work for this company, and in the work employment you renounce your human rights. I mean, there's some things that you cannot just renounce.
Yeah, they make fun of that whole thing. Yeah,
in the contract. Yeah,
they make fun of that with the Human Centipede episode, I think it was.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Because there's some things that, like, there's only so many things that they can put in the little writing, and the stuff that we're going to completely ignore the law and the rules of the market at any time whenever we feel like, and you can't complain because it's right here and you signed it. If they actually can get away with that, then there is something very, very fundamentally wrong with the entire society to begin with, and you didn't notice before.
No, and go ahead, Rob.
No, the thing that burns me is that these guys are all part of the same group that says no regulation, the free market can regulate itself, and now they're the ones being taken for a ride.
That's you know what? That's actually just a sentence. That's the sentence that they say to the public, but behind the scenes, that's not what's going on at all. Yeah. It's not that they want this. They purport that, but in the reality, what they want is that it's like a collusion and lobbying behind the scenes. Like, I'm in the world of finance, I know this. They get to say, we don't want regulation and stuff, but the real problem is the backdoor deals.
Oh yeah,
behind politicians and the owners of the hedge funds and the donors. That's where all of that is. That's a real thing. It's not a matter of things being deregulated.
Yeah, Tom, remember what George Carlin said? It's a big club,
and you ain't in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and here's the thing with this is I know they're unrelated cases, but I'll be interested to see where this class action goes, and then also see where the Amazon case goes with the people who are suing over whether or not they own their digital films or not, because I think that's going to be two big cases going forward that are going to really benefit either benefit consumers going forward or benefit the corporations going forward. Because Andre's right, like they've got too many loopholes in these contracts that we sign that we never read. And I mean, it at some point you got to say, look, there has to be a boundary to where, you know, if somebody thinks they're paying for goods, whether they're digital or physical, that, you know, you have to draw a line there. And the same thing goes with this whole other app too. Like it's even more nefarious because we're talking about, you know, trading stocks and things like that. That is a highly regulated thing. And just the fact that Robinhood pulled this crap. And I know, I mean, I was a little bit lackadaisy on my opinion on the matter to begin with, and I didn't really care at that time. But the more we get into it, I understand more of the ins and outs. I get it. But to me, it's more about whether or not we even see this class action go forward and what the what comes out of it, because unfortunately it could go worse than it could go better. Than, you know, it just could open the door for them to be able to have more power as a corporation, unfortunately.
So yeah, that's but that's like the scary thing is how easy they can get away with this. And again, that's not just a matter of laws and regulations. It's a matter of the relationships they have with the people that enforce those rules and regulations. Right. And in that sense, they are really, really lucky with who is in charge right now. Because again, the last time these people run the world in the basically, they derailed the entire world economy. For which they needed to be put in jails for life, most of them. But instead, they got scot-free and with bailouts packages and no consequences whatsoever. And so I'm not hopeful that much is going to happen here. But see what a civil lawsuit can do. I hope that it can be more successful than we hope. But yeah, so it's really rotten and corrupt, and there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, that's really the whole point. Like I said, I'm more interested in the civil case and see how it goes, because I don't expect it will go in the way of the little guys. I think it's going to go for the corporation, but I hold out hope.
Yeah, we can hope. But if I had to put money, I'd also put it on the corporation winning out in this case.
Which is funny because it's like having cops and then saying, yeah, you can call us for any murder except for that one.
Yeah, but that's kind of how it is.
I know. I get it. Like I get it. And people didn't understand that when I was talking. I totally get it. But this is the part that matters, because outside of that, it's more of them doing the shit that they do all the time. You know, it's like, why are we even acting surprised at this point when it comes to Wall Street or Hollywood or politics? They're always going to be the same. Unless we finally change them or force some kind of change, it's not going to change.
Yeah, this is true. It was different for a while, but now it's back to business as usual. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, we have one more to go through of commercials and trailers and reveals. A big one. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that we were supposed to start today with, but that I don't think anyone cared too much about it.
Not really.
Andy, how excited were you for Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I thought this new trailer was the best so far. It gave me enough of like, all right, this could be a cool action, like fun action comedy, like a Tango and Cash-y vibe, but with more of a Marvel budget. And look, that's my genre, so I'm down. I haven't really been that excited about this, but this one looked slightly more interesting because I think it was quicker. I think helped. But Baron Zemo seems like a cool villain. Him running the world of superheroes. Okay. They're not really superheroes though. So you'd think you'd go after bigger names, but they don't have them in the show. But that said, yeah, it looked cool. I have to say that trailer was the first one I thought, all right, I'll give this one a shot. This was supposed to be the first one they put out there. So I'm hoping it's good. WandaVision was not a good starter for the Marvel TV show verse, in my opinion. I think it's getting better, and I think it'll pay off at the end, but it's a slow burn. This one feels more of, I feel like, what fans are hoping for. So cautiously optimistic.
All right. Rob, what do you feel?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, I thought it seems like a good buddy action series. The interesting thing is that I'm curious how well they do the whole John Walker Super Patriot thing, because that was a storyline that I read in Captain America back in the late '80s when Cap wouldn't do some sketchy missions for the government, and he was stripped of his rank and was given to John Walker. And the whole point of that story was that this is not what character, because a lot of people could criticize Captain America as this jingoistic, ultra patriotic symbol, but and in reality, that wasn't really what he was, and that's what that storyline showed. Kurt Russell's son is playing John Walker, and that's actually, I've seen what he looks like in the costume. Like, the kid fills out the costume pretty well. Kid. He's probably 40. I'm like, what am I talking about? But anyway, looking forward to this a little more than WandaVision. You're right, Andy. WandaVision is a slow burn, and I think I've seen elements of it and things like Life on Mars that have been done better. But at the same time, I'm like, can we try to make the Winter Soldier not look like a club kid? I mean, he just with this stupid. I mean, he's got a cool costume with the arm and everything. I guess I was expecting him more to look like how he did in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, but looks pretty good. Definitely looking forward to this more than WandaVision. So curious to see where it goes.
I'm kind of the opposite, but I was never really like, this was the one that I was looking forward to the least. And I didn't really get anything out of this latest trailer to make me want to see it any more than I did before. I mean, it looks like it'd be all right and fun, but I'm not sure it's going to... I mean, I'm hoping it has a lot more reason to exist than just... I don't know. I hope it leads to something better, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it has to surprise me. It has to give me something more. Because I, too, was kind of wishy-washy on WandaVision at first until we got going here, so... I'm hoping they're just not giving us anything in the trailer, and the show is a lot better than what the trailer promises. Andre?
I'm with you on this one, Tom. Just going in, this is the series that I'm the least excited for, at least until we get to the likes of like Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and stuff like that. I'm less excited for those. But those that we have like right now, this next year,
this is the one.
This is the one I'm the least excited for by far. However, it should be said that going into Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I wasn't that excited for that either. Like, I went in mostly out of obligation, and I was completely blown away by how good it was. I'm hoping the same thing is going to go in here, that I go in like seeing it out of obligation and to like review it for Midnight's Edge and stuff, and then I really end up enjoying it. I hope that's going to happen.
Yeah,
but in this moment, as of right now, I've taken a look at the TV spot and all the other previous footage, and I remain completely as unexcited as I was from the concept alone. I really couldn't care less. Like, if you told me right now you can never see it, I'm fine. I'll do without.
I hate saying this, but now with all like the big, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, checked out, we're kind of left with the practice squad.
Yep.
Not
until we get to the X-Men and stuff like that. Yeah. Sorry, Andy.
No, I'm sorry. They had, and then we lost Black Panther tragically. So it's like they really, I mean, this was not supposed to be the plan. It sounds like they must have paid Hemsworth a fortune to try and keep one of them still around. But then they killed off exactly. Who are we rooting for? And I don't know. That's the problem I had with this whole Phase 4 that was coming. None of these movies excited me. I could care less about Black Widow movie. It's too late for me.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Andy. Riri Williams is on the way to save us.
Well,
it's gonna be a while, but yeah.
Andre, go ahead.
Yeah, no, really. The only thing I look forward to right now, actually, like I said it like a year ago, that the irony is right now that the Marvel themed project I was looking the most forward to as of 1 year ago was the Venom and Carnage movie. That honestly hasn't changed that much. I'm looking more forward to that than most of these Marvel things. Like, to me, all of those things are things that stand between me and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is where I think things are going to get good again. And everything before then is like stopgaps. We just kind of like have to get through.
Well, I'm starting to see my theory come to fruition a little bit, and I think that was where I was saying, like, I think things are going to be more important than we think they are, and I hope that's the truth with Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, because we're starting to see a little bit more of this story open up with WandaVision now, and with these rumors about, you know, Chris Evans coming back, which I don't think are so much rumors as I don't think he ever really went anywhere. Because I have a feeling, and I could be very wrong, but I have this feeling that all these shows we're seeing now, including Black Widow, are all leading up to us seeing a story about Cap putting all the stones back. And I've been saying this for a while, and I have a feeling that's the way Black Widow is going to end up. Is it's going to either be like a post-credit scene or something like that, setting up that, you know, she's going to come back, because nobody's ever really dead in the Marvel universe. They have like certain kind of stipulations and rules about that. And B, there's just so many things that you could do with that story. And, you know, this is kind of opening the door that, you know, like Vision doesn't have his stone returned and stuff like that. And that was the whole thing, was Cap went back to put the stones back. And then he was just there. So we don't know what happened exactly. And as I keep pointing out, the whole point is, you know, to take the stone, you have to leave something behind, but we don't know what happens when you put the stone back. And not only that, we also may get the chance to see a Red Skull come face to face with Cap again, even though it's a different Red Skull, but it kind of is the same one. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't think you're gonna get that, but I'd watch it.
I have a feeling that maybe where a lot of this is leading. Now, I can't speak for She-Hulk and some of that other crap.
He's from what I've been told, because Evans is back, like similar to the Iron Man in Spider-Man portion. I don't know which movies he's coming back for, but Chris Evans is supposedly coming back for like a supporting role in a couple movies as Cap. There's also rumor, as a joke as it is, he may show up in Multiverse of Madness as Human Torch. Like, that's how crazy Multiverse of Madness could get. But I'm told Multiverse of Madness is all about like they were legit trying to get Tom Cruise as Iron Man, John Krasinski as Cap, which I'm like, what? But then I saw him so buff on Saturday Night Live, I thought, oh, maybe it's true. But they were trying to get all the people they almost cast as the Marvel people. And
I keep hearing Krasinski for Mr. Fantastic.
No, that's what I've been wanting. But
yeah,
he does both. But that's what I heard.
Well, here's the other thing. What's the name of the character, Rob, that Captain America goes under when he has like an alter ego?
It's just the Captain.
It was something like that. Because
he was Nomad for a while.
Nomad, that's the one. Because like a lot of people were complaining that he wasn't, you know, didn't do anything for all those years, and so he just sat there. Like, well, I keep saying, like, he technically couldn't because he'd disrupt the time that he's in. But what if, you know, like this Nomad theory is true? Is that all these years he was doing shit as a totally different person?
Andy, how about other Punishers? Any thoughts of bringing back Ray Stevenson and Tom Jane, or even Dolph Lundgren in the Multiverse of Madness?
Anything's possible. I haven't heard it. The only one I know they're working with is Charlie Cox right now. He's for sure. He's in Spider-Man 3 as Spider-Man's lawyer, not as Daredevil. I mean, he's there as the character, but not in the suit. But yeah, I mean, anything's possible. I don't know. It doesn't seem like Punisher's on there. I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's a priority right now. Who knows? Maybe with Blade coming up, maybe go in a different direction. Some of the darker characters.
Yeah, and I mean, I know a little bit about Blade because I know some shit from the Wesley Snipes side of things when that went down back in the day, but I don't know anything past that. And they just announced a writer.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But what I was told was they're going to go as hard PG-13 as they can with Blade. Which kind of makes sense because, like, if you look at it nowadays with the way PG-13 is, as long as you take out any F words and any nudity, you can pretty much get away with a lot. Because as long as it's vampires that are doing all the bloodletting, then you're fine. Because that's the thing. The MPAA doesn't care how many monsters, zombies, vampires, robots, aliens you kill. It's humans they give a shit about.
Yep. It's the blood.
So you never know. Blade has potential, but I'm kind of worried. I know they were still trying to get Wesley Snipes back on board as the Whistler character, but I don't know if that's going to work. The Whistler. Your whizzes everywhere.
Don't whiz on the electric fence.
Yeah, don't do that.
I hope they figure out a way to bring Wesley in, because Wesley also got screwed through that tax evasion nonsense. It's a whole nother. That's another weird story.
Well, for a while, the story was looking like it was going to be Wesley was going to return as Blade, but what was going to happen was it was going to be Blade's daughter. So it was going to be more of a passing of the torch. But then I guess that all kind of fell apart because they announced Mahershala Ali underneath his nose, I guess is what I heard. And again, you got to take all this with a grain of salt. This is what I heard from my source. So yeah. So that's when he walked away.
Yeah, I know they're still writing it, so anything's possible.
Yeah, anything is still possible. It's still up in the air. Last I knew, they were still trying to get him involved in some way.
I'm shocked they picked that, to be honest. Of all the things they could have announced and be working on, I don't know. Didn't seem like, because they announced that it was a while ago. Like that's something I would have expected to say this year, last year, but no,
I think that was a result of some of the James Gunn shit. Because I think the original plan was to go heavy into the multiverse / cosmic side of Marvel. And then when that whole thing kind of messed up, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy 3 we were supposed to get last year, weren't we? Or this year?
Originally, yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently the script isn't changing much, he said. So I'm
No, yeah. I wonder what they're adjusting for Thor, though, because I know they're both closely tied. Yeah, I think that's what I heard is Thor had to change because of it.
That might make sense, because I know Gunn was he's like worked on the Guardians portions of Thor with Taika, but yeah, we'll see.
Indeed. So Andre, I think we should get on to some of these super chats. I don't know how much longer we have Andy for, because I know he's limited on time here. Do you have much longer to hang around, Andy, or did you have to head out?
When are you wrapping?
Well, we're going to try and get through these super chats, and I think that's about it, unless there was anything else we had to cover, Andre.
I think that we got through most there. On the topic of Falcon and Winter Soldier, Fat Steven Seagal beat up someone who had it coming, but I can't see who. Says Falcon has wings as a shield. Why does he need caps? And then we have Stephen Otten referring to what I said earlier. Once again, Andre brings up a show I thought only I remembered. #Blue Thunder. Yeah, that was quite something, wasn't it? I only saw it very recently, the show that is. I can see why they cancelled it. They realized that Airwolf was going to beat the crap out of them. And Stephanie Littlepage sent a little doggy super sticker, so thanks for that. Captain Hare says for $5, thank you so much. I'm super late and didn't watch yesterday. Rob, who won professional hand dig?
It wasn't my team. The Giants were eliminated about 6 weeks ago. So,
yeah, there you go.
Tampa Bay. Woo! I live in Tampa Bay now, so I can finally root for Tom Brady.
Well, Tampa Bay all I got to say is that Tom Brady may have won 7 Super Bowls, but he still couldn't beat the New York Giants twice.
So. Yeah, my team is the Eagles, and we beat them in the last Super Bowl. So that was I love that.
And to me, Super Bowl is just the commercials.
Yeah. Well, Andre, comedian Louis Black said actually they accomplished what they've always wanted to make the commercial more important than the game.
Well,
so that,
kudos to them. And Darius Münchhausen sends us a sausage super sticker. Thanks for that. Nicholas Horton says, seems like it'll slightly be a Sinister Six type movie with all those villains. It does, doesn't it? And Roger Haynes says for $5 Canadian, I hope they don't write Toby as a failure like in the other Spider-Verse movie. Andrew is fine, but not Toby. Captain Hare then says, cast Trevor Noah as Miles Morales in Spider-Verse. He might be too old, but
Captain Hare just wants to make Rob go.
Yeah, I want to be able to like him, and that's out the window with Trevor Noah, but yeah. And Willie Woodward says, TBH, I'm more down for a good Sinister Six film. Mr. Tickletrunk says, Raimi's humor will be a welcome change for me. I'm tired of the predictable Marvel, oh my god, so awkward moments, sucking all the tension out of moments. That's going to be hilarious to see what he's going to do. Willie Woodward says, what if no Green Goblin, but Defoe as Osborn? We already addressed that.
Yeah, thank you, Willie.
Yeah, and Christopher Tock says that the Middle Kingdom created the coof of which we cannot speak to ruin the XFL 2.0.
I don't know about that.
And that nobody guy says $5 and says, I loved Lilyhammer. This would be the series I was talking about where like the guy from Sopranos went to Norway for 3 seasons to be under witness protection. And then he says, the dark humor is so great. I was so bummed it was discontinued. Did it portray Norwegian culture well, Andre? Here's the thing, that it took it a little bit over the top, but yes, I think it did. It really nailed it. It absolutely did. So as a Norwegian, it's painful to watch because it's so true.
You know, not for nothing. If you're in witness protection, Norway's not a bad place to be.
No, I will give it that. And so is Lilyhammer, provided no one knows, because it's like it's a street and two barracks in addition to the Olympic things.
Won't take long to find somebody, will it?
No. And Buster Grimes says for $5, I was on Depp's side, but that I recall his assassinating president bit in regard to Orange Man. He's another lib. So personally, I'm like, whatever. Well,
I don't think that should matter. I mean,
I don't think that should
choice.
matter.
I mean,
that's your choice, but like everyone has their different preferences, and we shouldn't judge someone in one aspect of their life based on
he got some TDS?
in another.
Obviously. But there's a lot of people that got TDS. So what are you going to do?
Well, even the people in the industry that don't have to pretend to have it in order to further their career. So yeah, don't hold that too much against him. Rambam 3000 says, as an MRA, thank you for talking about this. And then we had Sister Harrow also saying, great to see you guys talk about these topics, and this is all horrible no matter the gender. And then we had, we did that one. And Ikethulu says for $5, Andy, few people to bring on your show if possible. Brandon Tenold, The Choice Voice, George Rockall Schmidt, Please Rewind, and SF Debris. So yeah, some ideas for you there.
On at Andy Signore Twitter, DM me, it's open. Send them over there. I'll look them up. Thank you for suggestions, though.
Yeah, indeed. And then we have Adam Wofford, who says for $20, asteroid is supposed to pass just above Earth's atmosphere in 2029. Then 2 years later, it comes back. After it hits Earth, and after 2 years, a nuclear winter, a nuclear summer, Rob will say, fine, I will read the Dune book.
I don't even know if that would do it.
Well, that would go some way.
I may burn it to keep warm if we don't have no other choice.
Oh, did you hear there was a screening of Dune supposedly, Andre?
Yes, I did. I did hear that. I've heard multiple screening reports for a few weeks now. I just haven't done anything.
Really good praise, I guess.
Yeah,
screenings for who? It's so early
for Dune.
No, but who's seeing it?
I guess they did I don't know. They did like a test screening of some type. I don't know.
You know what that says to me? That maybe they're trying to tweak the movie, because remember, it was supposed to be released now a month ago or 2 months ago, even originally. So the movie is done. It's done in the can. And if they're now suddenly having test screenings, to me that's really weird. Unless it's like screenings for like special commercial partners or something like that. But if these are test screenings, then are they tweaking the movie some? That's interesting, because the movie should be done by now. Should be completely done.
Maybe they're testing like a longer version against a shorter version now, maybe, because now that it's going to be on HBO Max or something.
Maybe.
Because they wouldn't have any. See, the lucky thing about Dune is they would not have any tie-ins on screen. As far as like product tie-ins, because there's nothing, like the whole Bond excuse, which I still find is bullshit. Anyway, but I don't know if you know about that one, Andy. They're going in for reshoots on Bond, but supposedly the reason is the phones they have to reshoot because the phones are out of date.
Oh my God, that makes sense.
It doesn't though, because it makes sense because they make these deals with these companies. And does, but they would just do it with CGI. Why would they, in a pandemic world, get all these fucking people together?
Well, I heard I heard there's a virus plot too that they had.
That's what it's. See, we were one of the people that broke that story a couple months back, and a couple people tried to clap back at it. But now they're all of a sudden having reshoots for this reason, and that's what we were told is that they were going to do it under some kind of guise, and I think this is it. Because why in the hell would you get all these people together just to do something you could do easily with CGI and cheaper?
Spielberg can turn guns into walkie-talkies.
Exactly.
Tom, maybe because the movie sucks.
Yeah, I think because we said and we reported there was 2 key scenes or elements that needed to be tweaked. And yes, one of them had to do with a virus. And I know somebody who saw the movie too and said it wasn't.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm over the Daniel Craig Bonds.
Oh, it's dead on arrival. It's
the fact that they're like going back to like bring up plots from Spectre or whatever it was called.
Oh, you don't even want. Do you even know half the shit that
I don't remember any of Spectre. No.
I mean about this new one.
Oh no, I know a little bit, but Casino Royale, I loved it. I was like, woo, awesome.
Same here.
And then Quantum of Solace, I was like, oof, I guess and then they came back, Skyfall. I'm like, all right, shot well, some interesting ideas, a little slow for me, but still. And then it just has been more depressing than worthy.
Why do they insist on making it? Oh, we have to make it personal. We have to make a story. Well, I know why, but at the same time, I mean, it's just maddening.
I want to go back to the gadgets and the sleeping around, and just give me back that stuff. We've had enough dark series.
People keep asking, what if I had the chance to make a Bond movie, what would it be like? I said I'd fill it with as much gambling, drinking, over-the-top violence, casual sex, and partial nudity, and fast cars, and loose women, and smoking, and whatever. It would be either hailed as the greatest Bond movie of all time, or it would be a cinematic disaster. There would be no in between.
What's weird because there's a rumor going around that Disney's trying to buy Bond, and that's my problem. Like, would they though? There's so much sex in it that I don't think they want.
I don't know why they would want it.
Yeah,
Broccoli's would never sell anyway.
The MGM is
there used to be so much
MGM doesn't technically own Bond; they just have distribution.
So, but they would own the catalog, I guess. They want, and there would be Rocky. It would be that The Hobbit, Bill and Ted. There's like
RoboCop.
From the way
Bill and Ted, I don't think they actually own the rights to just the old films, and because they only distributed the new one.
From the way I understand it, is that the Broccolis own, and Barbara Broccoli, Michael G. Welsh, and Eon, and Everything or Nothing Productions. They own the rights to the movie rights to Bond, and then they say to MGM, "Okay, you go make the movie." And then MGM turns around. Yeah,
it's like a licensing deal, basically.
And then MGM turns around and says, "Okay, we need someone to distribute it." So then they have Annapurna and Universal.
Yeah, because MGM doesn't even have a distribution.
Right. Which makes sense. Why would Disney buy MGM to get to the right? They wouldn't even have the rights because they'd still.
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't.
No, if Disney, if you've been hearing Disney's going to buy MGM, I'm not surprised, and that's just so they can get their hands on the catalog. That's all they want.
But does that mean they own the movies, the old movies?
That's it. Yeah, that's all they'd get their hands on.
Distribution to the old movies, so therefore Disney could then lock them all up into Disney Plus.
Possibly, yes.
The reality, okay.
It depends on the deal that MGM has with the Broccolis and Eon and all that shit as far as the distribution goes. Because, like Rob just said, I'm under the understanding they technically own the movies, but it's just a distribution deal through MGM. So if it passes hands, then probably. Like if it's an all-in deal, then yeah, my guess would be the contracts they have with MGM would carry over to whoever, and it would just continue to be a distribution deal from that. And then yeah, they would have all the classic Bond movies to show on either Disney Plus or
it's insane they haven't
or whatever.
Even for the year, I would be watching them right now if they were easily accessible all in one streaming place. It's so stupid they're not.
Well, and that's the thing is MGM is so scattered everywhere on all the streaming services. Like chances are you could find just about every single MGM movie for free right now to watch, but you'd have to go to a dozen different streaming services. But anyway, Andre, we got to get through the rest of these super chats. So what do we got next?
Yes, we do. Next, we had Culture Casino, who sent Unicorn Super Sticker, so thanks for that. Nelson Shereta asks, what's the difference between pretty sure and certain? That's a good question.
Well, certain is
sure
certain
means it might not happen. Yeah,
that was
certain it's going to happen. That's the difference.
That was the Tracy Morgan Rock Boom. It was a good commercial, I got to say. I did like that.
But yeah, just the only other thing about MGM deal, they only own up till through the 1970s of their back catalog too, because Ted Turner bought out all the classic MGM movies up to 1969 outside of the Bond movies. So because he couldn't, because Eon owned them or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. So that's another thing to keep in consideration and remember too. So if they were to buy MGM, they would only get the classic MGM catalog up through the 1970s. So they'd get the Rockies, they'd get Terminator 1, but none of the other ones. They'd get the Bill and Ted films and a few other things, but outside of that, RoboCop, they wouldn't have much though.
Yeah, there you go. Cultured Casino also says, very concerned with Falcon and Winter Soldier future. Yeah, I'm not excited for it. And Stephanie Janisek Smuggler's Cantina says, what Tom said, nothing will change until the powers are forced to change. Captain Hare says, Chris Evans as both Cap and Human Torch in a buddy cop movie now. Yeah, that would be something. And Nelson Shereta, he points something out to me, obviously. Sure, Disney wants Punisher. Hero who kills with guns. Yeah, that's probably not going to fly.
Exactly. I was going to say, I don't know. I'd hold out much hope for Punisher right now, yeah.
Yeah, no, probably not. And Nicholas Horton says, for £5 British, the Multiverse of Madness could have a crisis on Infinite Earths ending. Only one Earth remains at the end, i.e. no alternate universes. Well, not as long as the Sony deal remains in place. There's going to be at least a Sony thing there. And with that, I do believe that we are almost caught up because Stephanie Littlepage sent us a super sticker, so thanks for that. And with that, we are caught up. So with that, yeah.
The only thing we didn't really get to talk about, I know you wanted to a little bit, was that Will Ferrell commercial, because we went on the whole Saturday Night Live tangent instead of actually talking about it. How was that a fair?
You're trying to screw over Norway, yeah? Aren't you guys? I would think you wouldn't like that.
You have so many people here that have responded to it. You have another car manufacturer. I think it was Audi. They were able to recruit the guy from Game of Thrones, Trond Hivju, or Christopher Hivju, the guy with the big red beard. He did a ton of commercials for them that they rushed together, where he basically responds on Norway's behalf. And then you have the Norwegian Tourism Agency. He also did some response to it. And there was even one with the Norwegian Prime Minister. But to be fair, I think that was edited from other footage. She didn't do anything. But there has been plenty of response to this thing in Norway, which I think is just sad and pathetic. But yeah, some of those things are fun. So go check out Will Ferrell Norway response if you want some absolute cringe. Or Tormund from Game of Thrones, which is fun. So yeah, it's always fun when Norway is in the news.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. It took me a little bit to put it all together because I saw it all out of order, but then I finally figured it all out. Yeah.
It's actually funny because I only heard about it from Tom first, not directly. He was like, "So how are you guys on sales of electrical cars?" And I was like thinking, well, that's a really
we were talking about something else. I can't remember how it came up, but somebody brought up electric cars, and I'm like, well, you would know something about it, Andre, because aren't you guys like number one over there? And he's like, not that I know of. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I keep hearing it all the time that Norway's number one for electric cars, and here we go, this commercial drops.
So yeah. Well, of course, we are number one. If you adjust per capita and you only count new cars, which are bought straight from factory, then yeah, I suppose we're number one that way. If you start including number of total cars bought, including secondhand, then I'm not sure.
What I probably did, and this is a good example of how they do this shit, is I just probably picked up on some propaganda in the media that was setting us up for this whole idea. Like, so like it's a perfect example of what they do with everything else. But
Norway is frequently used in propaganda to talk about the benefits of socialism and stuff. I find that to often be the case.
And I was listening to the pregame on my way to get some stuff done yesterday, and that's all they kept talking about was social justice and NFL and shit. And it was getting ridiculous. I changed the channel. I got so sick of listening to it.
Sounds like a good plan. And then Adam Wofford also says, so the early viewing had two different endings, but one ended shortly after Jessica drank Water of Life. Second end after Paul fight with Jonah. I guess he's talking about Dune. Okay, so this would explain it then, that they're wondering where to end the movie.
Gotcha.
That would explain why they have test screenings. Mystery
that
solved.
Would make sense.
Yeah. With that, I would like to thank Andy for joining us today. It's been an absolute blast to have you and have some really, really good, varied, and real conversations with you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thanks for having me. If you want more conversations, let me plug, because I was just going to say, check out Popcorn Planet. So why don't you tell the folks about it? You can go to popcornplanet.com. We'll take you there. Hit that sub. I'm just trying to, again, like I said, just trying to rebuild, trying to make people know I'm not just a jerk, flip-flopping, weird. I don't know. People have written so many things assuming who I am. Reach out, talk to me, have a civil conversation. I'm always open to that. And I like trying to bring those back, as well as scooping things, talking movies, all the stuff. If people watch me on Screen Junkies, I do again here. But I appreciate you guys give me. Not a lot of people have me yet, so I'm trying to earn my way back in. So thank you for crossing the line, I guess it is. Hopefully I didn't disappoint. But yeah, no, it's you guys have really cool takes. I appreciate your honesty too. It's good to talk. Happy to come back anytime. And please come on over to mine as well. Would love to have you guys back.
Absolutely. Well, we've actually talked to you a little bit about things that, we may be more than happy to help you with. So yeah, we'll definitely be in touch about it.
I do Nerd Wars on Thursdays. It's just hard to do because you got to find movie fights was good because you had people who were, I had a team helping me produce it as well, but also just like, we had a lot of talent and then we have a lot of movies we're out, but it's always trying to find that topic and a couple guests that will come and really have a fun debate about said topic. It can become a bit of a chore to prep week to week. So I've tried to make it more stunty. I'm like, March, there's a lot of stuff coming in March. So we'll got plenty of Snyder Cut, Godzilla versus Kong, WandaVision will be wrapping up, Falcon starts, Coming to America. I'm like, all right, March is where I'm going to rebuild, bring back fun run Nerd Wars. So stay tuned, and I'll reach out. Hopefully these guys will be on. We'll get some other exciting guests.
Absolutely.
Brewing. We'll have some fun.
There's this weird theory that it doesn't exist if I'm not there. So
now it exists.
Like on the internet, on YouTube's, if I'm not actually present either in the chat or on the show, it didn't exist. I guess that's the new permeating rumor. Everything else is the Matrix.
Are you excited for that? Matrix 4?
No.
Should not care less.
Matrix 4 is 3 too many. Really.
And the more I hear about it, the less interested I'm becoming.
Yeah, I mean, if they're really putting it to streaming, it's not good because that movie should be made.
Well, I got to say this because I don't know if you've ever heard, because I've been one that's followed a lot of this real closely, like the whole HBO Max thing, this whole thing with them dumping their movies on there. Even if we weren't in the pandemic right now, I still think a lot of these big movies would get put on HBO Max because that's what this is all about. Because that's what my guy told me was like everything right now is getting put into HBO Max because they are dying. They don't have the numbers they need, and that's what they pissed everybody off by doing this. But I should say AT&T, they don't care
for it too because they
exactly
paid everybody money, and now because they did that, everybody else wants the money. James Gunn's pissed. Denis Villeneuve's pissed. Yeah, it's costing them a lot to pay off Godzilla versus Kong. They had to pay a fortune, a Legendary. So it's not a cheap way to get it there. I still don't think it's going to be worth it. I don't think HBO. I mean, I like HBO Max. Don't get me wrong, but I wish they'd spend some money on redesigning their stupid app. It's like the worst user experience navigating their app. But it's like, go look at Disney, go look at Netflix. There are existing models you could be basing this off of, but they still haven't matched. It's very weird.
Absolutely. All right. Take care, everybody. We got to go. We want to thank Andy again for popping in today. We appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll have him back soon, and you may see us over there. Andre, anything to say before we go?
I just want to again say thanks to Andy for joining us. Been a blast, and thanks to everyone out there in the chat. We really appreciate that you joined us as well. Be sure to check back in a few hours because then we have Toxic Femininity coming, and tomorrow we have another scripted video for you.
Take care, everyone.